There we go. Paul, if you can go ahead and show us, it's 6:30 p.m. We'll go ahead and get started. If you can go ahead and take care of item number 2, let's go ahead and do our roll call.
District 1, Joseph Morrow, absent. District 2, Sam Cortez.
Here.
District 3, David Emery.
I'm here.
District 4, Michael Rodriguez.
Here.
District 5, Charles Gate.
You're not logged
I
in?
don't see him once there.
No?
See him well.
Okay. And for council, just so you know, we know that Charles is deployed, so when he gets an opportunity, he'll be joining us. And Joseph, he couldn't make it, let us know for tonight. So, but appreciate everybody being here. Just like we normally do, if we could all please stand, let's go ahead and get started with Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Remember what it's all about. It's important for us to start our meetings this way. Okay, the first section that we have is citizens to be heard. This is an opportunity for citizens, visitors, and guests to address the City Council on any issue or any item of the agenda in compliance with LGC Section 551.007. City Council may not discuss any presented issue or take any action to be taken on any issue at this time. Citizens to be heard are limited to 3 minutes. But normally, of course, if we actually have something on the agenda, we'll have a chance, but this is also more encouraging for those that are not on the agenda and would like to state anything. Do we have anybody that would like to go ahead and make some comments on citizens?
I don't want to on the agenda. I'm not on the docket, so yes.
Yeah, come on up. Come on up and just go ahead and state for the record, just go ahead and state your name and your address.
Okay, my name is Trace Joyce. I'm at 16015 White Cab Drive.
Perfect. Go ahead,
I'm
sir.
sorry that I'm not on the docket. I'm following the rules. I actually got some date from Mr. Deere. But the only reason I was going to speak and actually just make sure we're on the same page with everybody is there has been some changes that exist there. And Mr. Deere's aware of them. Not an unsound construction process or practice, being they did place a crown over their pipeline ditch. So with that crown, they've increased the height of the barrier for floodwaters. So we talked, I've had some discussion, we've had some good discussion about like not so much water pressure, but water height and hydrostatic pressure. And on that, what's it, Lakeshore Drive, when we've had like 2 or 3 inches of water run over that, it's become a little bit more urgent because that's not, of course, the dirt barrier that the entire canal is. You know, it is strictly a berm that's a few feet wide and about a foot tall. So it increases the water that's going to be held and increases the potential for a greater overflow when it's crested or when it's finally pushed out of the way. Because the way that water is going to push that out of the way. If we have another event like what we've had, which we go outside now, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. So I wasn't going to act anything, and honestly I appreciate what Mr. Deere is actually pushing and trying to get done. I'll get on the docket so I can find out a little bit more and see what learn the guidelines and the rules a little bit better, because now it's become significantly more urgent. And that needs to be understood. Because if it rains, like it has historically several times over the course of the last decade, and we have the situation that we've had several times before, it's going to be truly catastrophic. It's not just my house. It's going to be the fence to the southwest. It's going to be the Jacobs house. It's going to be everybody that's on the other side of Lakeshore Drive, because that water had run into their garages and across there on their garages and all that sort of thing. So when more of it comes across, it's going to be a bigger issue. And I don't know how the city, or I don't know the process exactly about how we could push to get to the point where there's a drainage study that's complete and we start getting bids and get something done and justify that expenditure and get it fixed. But it's now even more important. It's now even scarier. Okay, so,
Yes.
and one of the things that does, I don't know, we can act on it, but another point is, it's been a lot of months ago, but my friend Tom Cade had commented about, it was way back when the house was voted the first time, that
got a minute left.
Okay. He had made the comment that there was a request at the time that another drainage study, or that a drainage study be done. But at that time, I had to go back and check my own notes. The way that the community was annexed, the way I was able to build and know for sure where floodplain was because a drainage study was already completed. So somewhere, there's a drainage study completed. And either the engineer miscalculated, which puts them on the hook, or the contractor who built it didn't build it right, which puts them on the hook. So somewhere there's some potential financial gain from somebody not doing something correctly. So I don't want to discount that work or discount that option either. So I'll get on the docket and have further conversation later. Okay?
I appreciate
But
it.
it's now, I need to understand it's now a much scarier deal with the potential extra foot of potential water and holdback.
Totally understand, sir. Totally understand. I
Right.
know our city administrator is actually on it, and it'll actually be part of the briefing later on that he has at the very end. Getting your actual district councilman involved too, and that would be great, so we can go ahead and continue that dialogue.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Anything open item? All right. Take care of that. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to consent of the agenda. Consider the minutes. Let's go ahead and look at July the 11th of 2022. I know the packets were sent out. Folks to go ahead and review. Council.
It's not a big item, but a spelling problem. Paula, look on the second page at the top where it says open session action items. Should be double S instead of double C. And it must be something on your template because it's the same on
the other one.
the July 25th minutes. Okay. But it seems to be only on the second page.
Awesome. Anything else on the 11th of July minutes?
Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes for the July 11th meeting.
Okay, have a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and approve the minutes for the 11th of July.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and move on to July the 25th.
I have item 6E. The motion was made by David Emery, and it was seconded by myself. That motion should read, motion to draft a certificate of appreciation for 40-plus years of service and have the city council sign. Reach out to see how former city secretary would like to receive it. 6E.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, I'll wait for Paula first, right? Just go down to item G there, Paula. And again, remember I used to be an English teacher, okay? On the last line, it says administer to be signature, it should be signatory, I believe. We're giving city administrator the right to sign, it makes him a signatory.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for July the 25th as amended.
Okay, got a motion on the floor?
Second it.
Got a second? Any further discussion?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, actually, before we move on to the next one, hey, Paula, just want to go ahead and say thank you. This looked great. Size, short, a lot easier, so thumbs up for getting all those put down in the right format. So thank you for doing that for us. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to B, consider approval of payments of bills.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment of bills as presented.
Okay, got a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and approve the bills as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a second? Any further discussion?
Yes, I'm not seeing it right now when I looked at it online earlier. James, you might know about this. For the water meter training on how to use equipment, how to read it, it seems like I saw a training fee of almost $8,000. Is that?
There's more than one, look on the,
Yeah, there were two. There's one for 8,000, one for,
right, so, no, there's more to be paid, just off of that one, it adds up. So, and I'm still waiting on 2 bills.
okay, my question is, and it's just what I thought I remembered, when we agreed to buy these meters, was the training included in the contract price, or was it a separate thing we were going to pay for the training?
I wasn't part of it, if you'll take your microphone off for me,
Oh,
please, sir.
sorry.
I wasn't included when those were purchased, but I think it was all turnkey package included in, but it was broke down.
You're
and how
correct,
it
Matt. And I think one of the other obstacles that we ran into is that we needed to get an additional piece
Oh,
of
yes.
equipment.
So yes, so when we ordered that radio read equipment, we did not order the software from Tyler or Encode
Tyler.
to make that conversion. It just got missed. So we had to buy a module from Encode, Tyler, which was the 8,000, I'm sorry.
Interface.
Okay,
That way, their system could talk to our system and make that, there's certain files they
okay,
have to
so
write.
I'm not remembering wrong then.
No, you're
The
right.
training and the original software, hardware package to run it and everything came with the contract,
Yes,
but then this is
it was that
something.
module, an add-on we had to purchase. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, all right,
Yes.
thank you.
Yep. Valid point, valid point, yeah. But it was the additional thing. Okay. Anything else for
I
discussion?
want to make sure I wasn't going crazy.
No, you're spot on. You're spot on. Good question.
No, I was on a committee that, I was on the committee and that's what, it was included that.
Okay.
All right. Okay, if there's any further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right. Doing good, doing good. Let's go ahead and move on to 6 open session items on here. We're going to go ahead and concentrate on A first. Consider and act upon an ordinance of the City of Lytle authorizing the city's combination tax and limited pledge revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2022, approving for payment for the certificates of the levy of Aldeborn tax on taxable property within the city and resolving other matters incident and relating thereto.
So council, I'm going to ask that you take no action on that item. When I put that on there, I was looking at the old schedule for our certificates of obligation. That's going to be moved to the next council meeting on the 12th, so just a no action item, please.
I need a motion.
I move we take no action on this agenda item at this time.
I have a motion on the floor for no action.
Second it.
Got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Go ahead. No action at this time. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Okay, B, consider and discuss and approve the City of Lytle authorizations to issue requests for proposals for administrative services, RFP, and requests for qualifications, RFQ, for the Texas Community Development Block Grant administered by the Texas Department of Agriculture.
So that gentleman's running late. Probably gonna have a lot more questions and he'd be the perfect person to answer. So if we can just push that item until he gets here later on, yes, that we wait. Should be here, he said around 7-ish. He's trying to drop through weather.
So, Council, if I can get a motion for us to go ahead.
I move that we delay this till the gentleman arrives.
Okay, thank you. And a second?
I'll go to second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to C. Consider and act upon the contribution to Lytle VFW Post 12041 for the September 11th event. Matt?
So the VFW is going to be the organization cooking up there. I know originally we came in, it was from Patriot, and they weren't looking for financial contribution. Now the VFW Post is asking for a contribution. I think they're asking anywhere between, I think it was 200 to 700, Mayor, is what I heard.
That's correct.
We have the money in the budget under community functions, so it's just whatever the council wants to do.
So council, this is the event that they're putting together. It's not only for Lytle, it's surrounding communities. They're inviting Atascosa, Medina, SO, Sheriff's Office, fire departments, ESDs, all the way around to be able to do something for them on the 9/11.
I move that we approve this agenda item at a rate not to exceed $700.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor.
Second.
Got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. So Matt, if you can just work with them and
Yes, sir.
we can adjust accordingly,
Yes, sir.
be able to do that. It's a great opportunity to take care of our first responders. All right. Go ahead and move on. Okay, D, update from the city administrator on the assistance with facilitating town hall meeting regarding the Lytle MHC mobile park.
So council, and I believe Casey's here tonight if we have any other questions, but I reached out to Jolinda Harris to see when we could coordinate this. I told her the city was happy to facilitate a location, and she said she'd reach back out to me with a date and let me know when they could do it. She was out of town. Did we hear any more back from her, Casey?
Yes, so,
How you doing, Casey?
good evening.
Thank you for being here.
And thank you all for your time. So I have a couple dates we'd like to propose, either August 29th or September 8th. If that doesn't work, we can work out other dates.
What was
Can
the
we-
second day? September?
September 8th is a Thursday. We could also do the 9th, Friday.
So either that 9/8 or 9/9, I've got a prior commitment on the 29th of August. Right, that was your first one?
Yes.
So either one of those two dates work for me to help coordinate and set the facility up.
September 8th or September 9th?
9/8 or 9/9, he said.
Okay.
At what, can we do it, is it in the evening around 6:30?
Whatever you would recommend, 6:30.
I think to get the community input that we're looking for, we probably need to have it in the evening, because it would allow the people to get home from work and come to that as well.
Is the 9th a Friday?
Yeah, I think I would consider doing
I
it
would
at 8.
probably shoot for the 8th
The 8th.
because of football and
That's a
school.
great point.
Yeah, so
Great.
maybe we can shoot for the 8th?
Great.
At 6:30?
6:30?
Did you need to coordinate with anybody, Matt? No?
No, I don't think we've got it rented out or
We don't
anything. It's
have
not a
it
normal
rented.
time for the center to be rented.
Okay.
I can ensure that the facility's set up, air conditioning's on. If y'all need a projector, I got a screen projector. The city can bring, if y'all want to bring a laptop, and y'all can connect in. Okay.
Okay.
Do we need a motion on this, Jesse, or is it,
No, it's just an update.
sounds good?
It will not be, it's not going to be a city council meeting or
Right.
city council action. It's really for the developer to provide information to the community, and the city is providing its support and assistance to facilitate that.
We will post, though, that there's, how we do it, it's not necessarily a meeting, but there's a possible quorum if the council chose to attend. If 3 or more of y'all chose to attend, so we'll probably post it on our website as there's a possible quorum of the council that would be there, but there's no action items.
And we'll have, I'm trying to remember, is that Joseph's? Or is it yours?
What?
Whose district?
That's mine.
That's yours? Okay.
Yeah, I'll be there.
You'll be there, perfect.
Just in case you all wanted to show up, we just want to post it to make sure we don't violate any open meetings act.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Good.
Mr. Mayor, I have a quick question. At this meeting, at this town hall meeting, are y'all going to have a plan what y'all guys are gonna do for traffic? Because y'all guys are bringing in homes and which equals people, which right now to get to school, it's already going pretty crazy with traffic. So I don't know about that town hall meeting, if y'all guys could show us what y'all have planned for us to get to school properly, because it takes me around 10 to 20 minutes just to drop off my son, because we're waiting in line. And if you're bringing in about, I don't know how much you're bringing in of homes, that's my main concern. Right now, at Bill Miller's, right in front of it, the line gets all the way to Bill Miller's. That's my main concern, and I know it's a lot of people's concern. I don't know if that town hall meeting, if y'all guys are gonna be able to provide that, because I think that's a lot of people's concern is, can we hold that many people here and accommodate everything
So,
that needs
so the main objective out of this meeting is be able to have the developer to go ahead and present the plans and let the community actually see the plans and kind of get an idea of what's happening. Is that correct?
Yes, the city won't have anything to present. It's not a city meeting, we're facilitating the location. I can tell you there's still the traffic impact analysis that's being undertaken. That once that information comes back in, TxDOT organizations can look at that and determine if there are any mitigating things that need to be done. But typically that's going to be right around the location, not necessarily across town where the school or something is. We're looking at that later on as a whole. This is just for this project right now. But I don't believe we'll have any information to report that night, because we're still waiting for that data to come in from the engineers.
That's right.
You're just gonna fix the problem once it's meeting. I don't think that's very wise.
The city does not have a traffic impact analysis ordinance. We're undergoing that still. TxDOT does. The reason they're doing it is because two of their entrances are on TxDOT's property, so it's required by TxDOT. The city is undertaking a traffic impact analysis ordinance, and we're forming that to be all-inclusive to assist with issues like this as they arise. Yes.
Anything else?
Jesse, can council members attend without the risk of forming a quorum?
No, council members, yes, the council can certainly attend. It's just, it's not a city council
Right.
meeting with an agenda for the council to be
As long
involved
as
in
we don't present
deliberating.
it that way.
Correct.
Okay.
It's really an opportunity for the developer to provide information directly about their project to the community, and certainly the city can assist in facilitating that, providing the facility and sharing information that they might have that they've received perhaps regarding the project in that nature. But it's not the city. The city is not building the mobile home park. The developer is, and so it's really an opportunity for the developer to report to the community and see what questions they may have regarding the project.
Understood.
But to be on the safer side, we should post that there's going to be a possible quorum of the council at that meeting, not to discuss any city business, but that way somebody can't come back later on and say, hey, there was 4 councilmen there and they violated the open meeting. We posted it, we just didn't discuss business or take care of
We
business.
didn't take
That's
any
my
action.
concern.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
No,
we'll
that's-
post it just to cover us.
Okay.
That's correct.
Right.
We're required under the Texas Open Meeting Act
Yes, sir.
to post the possibility of a quorum being present at the meeting, and
Okay.
and that there may be, city-related matters discussed at that time. And for that reason, that's why we post it that way. But it's not that there's a city council meeting and that the council will be deliberating and taking any action or anything like that evening.
Good.
Okay?
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Anything else in that? All right, well, thank you for the update, appreciate that, man. And I'm glad that we were able to figure out a date so we can go ahead and get it out and make sure everybody's aware on that date and be able to have the opportunity. Okay, E, consider and act upon the proposal from TRC for the plant review and engineering services for Lytle MHC Mobile Home Park Phase 1 and 2.
So council, you have the proposal in front of you from TRC. I think it was for an amount not to exceed $9,500. The developers are aware of that amount. So it's up to council if we want to approve that, and they can start the process of reviewing the plans to ensure they meet our code of ordinances.
Matt, do you mind, since we have some citizens in the audience, do you mind just describing what the purpose is?
So the city engineers, TRC, they will take the plans of the mobile home park and ensure everything that they're wanting to do meets the codes of the city of Lytle, how they put the infrastructure in the roads, and that it meets our codes. The cost is an amount not to exceed that. The city pays it initially, but before we release final plating to the developer to go record it, we recoup that fee back from that developer. So, but it's our way to ensure what they're about to do with infrastructure, roads, and stuff like that is built to our codes and our standards, and our inspectors go out and inspect it and approve it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Council?
Yeah, I move that we approve this agenda item to pay the not to exceed $9,500 for engineering services.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Got a second? Thank you. Any further discussions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to F. Consider and act upon appointing 2 representatives to the Atascosa County Library Board. All right, Sandra.
Hold on, just before I left. We had to replace the 2 ladies that did, were actually on the board at the time, and I have 2 new ladies. One of them is Margie Ellis, who lives here in Lytle, and the other one is Wanda Egerton. She also lives here in Lytle, but on the outskirts, but because she lives in Atascosa County, she qualified. And we do get Atascosa County funds, and I would just like to nominate these 2 ladies to be
Cassandra,
represent the library.
could you explain to the council, just so we have an idea of the purpose of?
Okay, the library, Atascosa County Library Board is a board made up of different citizens from, 2 citizens from each city. So there's 5 libraries in the Atascosa County, and each library has 2 representatives, with the exception of Jordanton, who has 3 because they have one at large. So every other month, we meet at whatever library, whoever's hosting it, and we bring our, whatever bill we have to pay, like if it's a book, for books, supplies, and they basically say, okay, yes, we agree to pay this, and then it goes to the county commissioners to be paid. So they issue a PO so that the can be paid.
Okay, so this is basically a board that
Yes.
submits inputs for the whole county.
For all, yes, for all
And,
libraries.
An opportunity to use county funds
Right.
to be able to help.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
And these are people that are not on the payroll?
No, they're volunteering
Right.
their time.
Okay. Thank you.
Council, any other questions? Okay. Council, if I can get a motion for us to go ahead and approve?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion to consider Wanda Everson and Marjorie Ellis for appointing 2 representatives to the Atascosa County Library Board.
Roger that. Got a motion on the floor?
Second.
Got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mayor, if we could, the gentleman for item B is here now. If we can bring that back up, if you don't mind.
All right. Back. On that one. You got those 2 names, Paul? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and go to B and consider and discuss and approve the City of Lytle authorization to issue requests for proposals for administrative services RFP and request for qualifications RFQ for the Texas Community Development Block Grant administered by the Texas Department of Agriculture.
So council, CDBG is about to reopen, and we were informed that their 2 top priorities this year are going to be in wastewater and stormwater. 2 items that we know are big. We just heard from one earlier. So what I would like to do, if we can get permission to issue an RFP as well as an RFQ, for us to go ahead and open up and select a firm, not a firm, a grant company to assist us with applying for these and being the managing organization for that. And I've got a gentleman here that can probably explain it a lot better than I can. We sat through with them, but I think it's something we need to do. We need to start moving forward through and get whatever grant money. It's not a lot of money. I think they've got it capped at $500,000.
Correct.
And that covers engineering and professional fees, but any money you're willing to give us, I'm willing to take.
Is that 500,000 per town or for the total program?
500,000 per award, correct?
For this particular grant, that is
Alright.
correct.
You're going to get into that, right?
Well,
Yes, come on,
I-
if
Come on up,
you'll
come on
explain.
up. Yeah, introduce yourself, and we appreciate you coming over.
Let me tell you guys how long I've been on the job. It's been about 4 months. So my name is Michael Sledge, and I'm the client service representative with Grant Works. And we reached out and was talking to Matthew actually about opportunities for that. There are a lot of grants out there with federal dollars tied to them. So I am the representative that represents what they call ACOG and CAPCOG. And then recently, I've been asked to take over Central Texas Council of Governments. You guys are part of that San Antonio region, and I plan to be very active reaching out to these communities, making sure they know this funding is available to them. Because I mean, it's money, and it can definitely improve the community. But this particular grant that we're talking about is CD 2324, and what grant work does, it pre-scores the cities. So when we come to you and say we pre-scored you and that you rank pretty high, that means there's a pretty good opportunity that you're going to get some funding. We don't want to waste your time, and we take this stuff very seriously. So this particular grant is for $500,000. The applications are due in the spring. And eligible activities include water system improvements and wastewater system improvements. And there is a match with this particular grant of 2% based on the size of this community. And the other thing I want to say about this is the requirements are that you have a current audit, you have current SAM registration, and that the project must benefit a low to moderate income area that's 51% or above. And then I talked about basically what the eligible activities are, and that's really what this particular grant is about. There are other grants, like I said, that are out there, and we started with this particular grant.
So 2%,
Yes, sir.
$10,000.
Correct.
Good.
And what I always say to communities at the end of the day is really your federal tax dollars that you're bringing back to the community. Because if you guys don't put in applications for these funds, I can promise you the community over is, so they'll probably be getting your cut. So we want to make sure that we work.
Now, you're with GrantWorks, right?
Yes, sir, I am.
So you would get your fee for this as a percentage of whatever the grant total is that right?
That comes out of the.
So we don't pay you up front?
That's correct.
Only if we get a grant?
That's correct.
Okay.
Opportunity for us to do that. And from what we understand in previous conversations, as we grow, the less opportunity we have for some of these grants. Is that correct?
That could be the case.
Yeah.
That could be the case.
So it's probably good for us to take advantage while we're still our population, the lower numbers.
Right, and lower income too,
Yeah.
because you use bigger houses, bring in
Yep.
higher income
Yep. Be
residents.
able to do that.
And like I said, I plan to be very active in working with Matthews to make sure he knows of these opportunities when they come available, because I know he's busy doing this other roles here in the city, and we want to make sure that we're in partnership with you guys.
Council, need a motion for us to go ahead and go down this road?
I'd like to ask a question. What does this actually mean to the city of Lytle? Is this our everyday streets, our common streets where we have drainage problems? Or are we talking just surveys and this is where we're having problems?
So it depends on what we want to do. So let's say we would identify, we say we want to apply, and Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, we say we want to identify this issue we're having. I can tell you, I know of one drainage project we have turnkey ready that's already got engineering done. The city's already paid for it, but we just haven't had the funds to do it. That may be a project that we say we want to apply for funds and try to get that accomplished. And then we just keep moving down the road. Okay, let's find the next one. I just mentioned that because, like I say, it's turnkey ready. We already have all the drawings of what we need to do. We just haven't been able to fund it completely.
But if I'm not mistaken, this grant only covers the engineering and survey parts. It doesn't cover the actual fixing of the road or fixing of the drainage.
Yes,
That's my
Yeah,
question.
no,
Yeah,
it does.
yes,
We only get 500,000.
Correct.
So we get 500,000, and they're going to take the engineering and management fees out of that 500,000. Whatever's left is what we get to spend. Their fees are based on a percentage of the 500,000. So on the engineering, on the management side. So having a company like this to help manage it is huge, because we've got enough to do already, and we just don't want to keep adding on because we've seen how that worked for us in the past. So being able to reach out to an organization like this and take a small portion of that 500,000 would help us. And like I said, if nothing else, this helps get us more to do. If it funded half of a project, then in the budget of the next year, or in that year, we only have to fund half. It's just any bit we can get on grants, the better off we're gonna be.
I agree, I just wanted to know how that came about with their.
Yeah, they take a small portion of it and then the rest gets to go towards the project. So obviously you don't wanna do big ticket items because 500,000 doesn't go a very long
Right.
ways. But if we have smaller ones that we can look at and try to get knocked out.
Okay.
And I would say this too, the administrative fee with grant works, they just move over. So keep that in mind.
Sounds good.
Okay. We do have some projects this year. We've heard some of our citizens come in here and talk about.
Yeah, I have a couple of my own too.
So this would, council, if y'all want, this would be a two-step process. One, an RFP would go out, if y'all approve this, an RFP go out first for us to send it out, and let's look at organizations like GrantWorks that want to work with us. We select that firm, and then we can issue an RFQ, and then move forward from there. So kind of a two-step process, but we're trying to do it all at one time so we don't have to come back.
That drainage, are you talking about, is that the one that Old Easy Street?
Yeah, over there on that side of town, that we
Yeah.
just haven't, we've been saving, but we haven't been able to get anything accomplished on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Yeah,
Adams,
I know that's
Ball.
one of the ones.
Yeah. We had a citizen come over a little earlier and talk about over in Lakeshore, so,
Yeah.
got a few.
Well, yeah, I move that we authorize city administrator to issue RFP and RFQ to move forward with block grants.
Okay, got a motion on the floor?
Second it.
And a second, any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it. All right, and thank you, sir, appreciate it.
And again, I apologize for being late, but I was coming from Ingram and I got stuck in all that.
Where were you coming from?
Ingram.
Ingham, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little dry.
I just came in from, Luling, it was just, you almost couldn't, all the way on I-10.
Everyone, welcome our police chief, straight from vacation.
Casey dropped me off just now.
Oh, I thought you had the lights on or something, so try and take care of business. All right, let's go ahead and come back, and we're gonna get into G now. Consider and act upon creating the Ethics Commission and establishing standards of conduct for city officials and employees. Matt?
So council, we've got a couple things working. So we do have our employee handbook, which is going to be a great tool for us, and we're going to move forward and getting that adopted. I've got to coordinate times with Mr. Emery and the chief to go through it. But it doesn't really address anything with the council either. So the key is that this would be all-encompassing of all council members, volunteers, full-time employees, and it's going to set forth our ethical standards on what you're expected to do, just across the board. So I think it's something that as we continue to grow, we're just gonna have to start taking these leaps and doing things we've never done before, because we've been small enough to kind of curtail it ourselves. But
Jesse, anything you want to add on this?
Mayor and council, many of our cities have ethics codes that they establish. The primary thing that the sort of ordinance that's in the packet goes into, it really relates to a lot of financial disclosures and reporting. So it would also, for example, any potential candidate for city office would have a financial disclosure. Council members, once elected, would have an annual disclosure. And then those are intended to avoid conflicts of interest, so that if there's any particular financial interest in a project going forward, it's already been disclosed way ahead of time, and so staff can identify that, work with the council to, have a disclosure and then recusal of that person from that. That would apply not only to the councilors, but also your planning and zoning commission and other volunteer boards and like who provide advice to the council, so that it can be sure that there is no conflict of interest, that information be provided to the council. So that's how that works. The ordinance would establish an ethics commission, so if there was a violation of something, some code of conduct, then that complaint could be initially considered by the commission. They would then make a recommendation. They can investigate it, review it, provide their recommendation to the council, and the council could then weigh that and decide what action they want to take from there. So it just adds a lot of transparency, makes it a little more, out in front of a lot of these issues, so that before it become as the city continues growing, you have more projects coming forward, this can become more of an issue, as you see a lot more economic development and development going on in the community.
where I would see this very helpful, so remember our planning and zoning commission are comprised of volunteers. So if unbeknownst to us, they have financial interest in a piece of property, and if it got zoned a certain way, it would benefit them more. That's information that we as a city need to know, so we can ensure that they recuse themselves from making it. Because we don't want anybody coming back in later on and saying, well, heck, you've allowed this to happen, and he just made millions off of this when nobody else wanted it. So it just gives us a tool.
So where does the 7th member come from? So the 5 councilmen will appoint 1, the mayor gets to appoint 1, that's 6. Where does the 7th one come from?
It's up to y'all how y'all want to do it. Then we could do, everybody pick 2, we take a drop out of a hat, employees pick, I don't know, yeah.
Well, 7 was just to keep
I think
it-
that's what came in the sample that we've got.
Okay.
It would allow for every one of y'all to have a choice, and then we could go from there. But I'm okay with the I thought the same thing about that. How do we pick that 7th person? But I figured we just throw the names in a hat.
Well,
Pick
is
a
it
name
a
out of a hat.
requirement that we have 7? Do we have 6? Does it have to be?
Well, you want to
Well, you
keep
don't
away
wanna
from
have
an
it-
even
yeah.
number, right?
Yeah.
Okay, for breaking ties.
You know what? I think
Also,
it's-
7 wouldn't work because then you would have the chairman that would give you 6
Let's
voting.
take a look at this, because look at where we got this ordinance from. I
Right.
think that's probably where the 7 came from.
Yes.
Because of the number that they have in their council.
Yes.
So could we do 6, and then the chairman wouldn't have a voting privilege, correct? Or do they? Whoever would chair the commission? Try to keep it to where we have.
Good point.
I think they typically do vote, and but again, the council can set it up however they would like. Typically, you could have just 5, and usually what they'll do is among the 5 they pick one that way, or you could do it with 6, and the 6th person, just like your council.
So that's why they have the voting right, because
Yeah.
they're actually chosen. Okay.
Yeah, so that's often why you'll structure it that way. But again, it's up to the council on how they would like that to work. The idea is to just establish a body that the council has confidence in.
Hopefully, we
to
never
do
need
that.
it, but if we do,
Yeah,
then
that's,
we actually
that's-
have.
Well, Jesse, could we approve this tonight,
Mhm.
but not lock in the number of committee members that we would require?
You could, but if you want to do 5 or 6, it's fine. Either way, we could decide that.
Okay, that was my
And
question.
five,
You know,
yeah.
was that cast in bronze if you had to
No.
have 7?
No.
None of it is. If
Either-
y'all want to make changes, we can.
Okay.
I would say probably stick to the 5 like we've done with other commissions that we actually have. Just-
One per,
Yes.
And still allow the chairperson to vote, because it would be the 5. And they would still need a right to vote. If it's
Yes.
selected within the committee, the
Yes.
chairperson, then that 5th person needs to, okay.
Yes, that's often how it's done.
That sounds good.
Yes.
So-
A lot of planning and zoning commissions are done that way. They'll have 5, the chair votes,
Right.
but they usually choose amongst themselves. And often it's typically the most senior person. If it's somebody who's been there longer, just by virtue of the fact that they just are more familiar, therefore can run the meeting more smoothly, that's often why. But they can choose whomever they want to be the chair.
Do we have a time frame that we're looking at to bring in our appointees?
We don't yet. I think that would be the next council. If this got passed tonight, we could bring forth as the next council and set a time frame on getting those people appointed on the next agenda.
And one more question. Would the person we asked to be on the committee be required to be from our district, or could we draw from anyone in town?
I don't believe that to be your district, no.
Okay. I just,
I think sometimes it gets us held to when we do it from our districts at times, but this is a commission to look at all ethics, so I think from anywhere in town would be good.
I just wanted clarification before we move forward.
Good question.
Well, I move that we do form this ethics commission to establish standards of conduct for city officials and employees, and to come up with the ordinance to regulate this. And I also move that we have 5 members on the commission, one each chosen by aldermen in the city.
Okay.
Go ahead and second that motion, Mayor.
Got a second? Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much, appreciate that.
Mayor, if you hold on just a second, Charles is jumping on. I just went, hey, Mr. Tate, can you hear us?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, sorry, I just saw you jump on. Okay.
Hey Charles, how you doing?
Doing all right, Mayor. How y'all doing?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us. Paula, if you can actually go ahead and make annotation of where we are at and who's joining us, that'd be great. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on. We're going to go ahead and jump into H. Consider and act upon appointees to the Annual Citizenship Award Committee. H.
So I think at the last meeting, we had some names submitted. Paula can go over those with you, but we were missing a couple of appointees.
Actually, just one. So Mr. Michael Rodriguez appointed Evangelina De Leon. Mr. Joseph Moore appointed Margaret Wilson. Mr. Emery appointed Robin Cantu. And Mr. Cade appointed Ward Sanders.
Okay.
So I was just missing Mr.
Yeah, I talked to Richard Hughes and he accepted.
Who was that?
Richard Hughes?
Yes.
Okay. So that takes care of everybody, Paula?
Is everybody?
Okay. Council, you heard our appointees and our recent nomination for this. I need a motion for us to go
I'll
ahead.
make that motion that we can accept these appointees on the Annual Citizenship Award.
Okay, we
Commission.
got a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
Got a second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, so we can go ahead and move on with that one and start getting together. I think what we're shooting for is September, October, try to get information out, be able to get stuff in by October. I think the end of October for our selection in December.
Okay, so we'll reach out to each one of these appointees to let them know that they were selected. So I guess the next step is now we got to start gathering possible
Nominees.
yeah. So that way the committee can start reviewing that information. So if you've got a nominee you can think of, you want to type up a brief bio so we can send it to the committee and start that, get them to start working on it.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to I. Consider and act upon establishing an ordinance limiting the idling of heavy-duty vehicles within the city limits.
So council, as we continue to grow as well and we get more commercial locations, gas stations along the 35 corridor, we're going to continue to get more and more trucks that are stopping and parking and idling all night. I don't know if you're aware, but Bexar County is probably going to go into the non-attainment ozone and require inspections to have emissions control and all that stuff when you get your inspection done. So we're just trying to look at this and be proactive if it's something the council wants to do. We've got, I believe, a sample y'all have got attached, but nothing to approve tonight. It's just a conversation starter if we want to move in that direction or what the council wants to do.
Jesse, anything that you wanted to add on this?
No, Mayor, just that I believe that the city has an existing truck route ordinance as well to limiting truck traffic to some specific roadways. I've included in your packet is a sample ordinance from another nearby community that has is similarly located along a major highway area, and they have also tried to address truck traffic in the community by designating certain truck routes. The routing of trucks is also an issue for city maintenance of streets because the trucks are heavier than standard, passenger cars. They do damage the roadways much more, and so it does create a financial issue for the city in terms of maintenance of the roads. And for that reason, the city may want to specifically designate certain roads only for truck traffic, and particularly prohibit them from certain areas, for example, around schools or hospitals or certain areas like that. So there's a sample ordinance that does that kind of thing in your packet tonight. And the other sample ordinance is one that specifically addresses truck idling. And so that's something for the council to consider if they would pursue.
How would we enforce the truck idling ordinance for transit trucks?
Well, if they're transiting, they're not idling, so.
Well, I mean, if they stop at the big truck stop that we're gonna build out here, they're not from here, they just stopped here.
Right.
Do we have to post signs there that advise
Usually
them?
what happens is the city will then work with the truck stops, where they, because often what they will do instead of idling on, usually they're idling because they're sleeping overnight in the cabs, and so they run the trucks overnight for heating and cooling of the cab. And
Right.
so the truck stops will often have, if they have an electrical hookup to power those heaters and air conditioners instead, then they can turn the truck off. And so it's a matter of working with the truck stop so that those hookups are then available. And they also notify the drivers when they come in that they're not allowed to idle. And then it's not idling at all, it's idling for an extended period of time. So it's like parking, so you
Sure.
know, like, okay, they arrived at 7, it's, we came by an hour or two later, they're still there, the truck's still idling. They could then be ticketed at that point.
So if I understand it correctly, since no work has started and we're still in planning stages of this big truck stop here, this
Right.
might be something to get done sooner rather than later,
Correct.
to have them act upon alternative means of heating and cooling.
Correct, and so, the truck stops, it becomes another service that they offer for the truckers so that they can then
Sure.
hook up and idle, rather than idling the vehicle, so they save on the fuel and instead they could just hook up to these electrical hookups and then it'll be also safe, so there's
Yeah,
no.
so it's a
danger.
win for everybody,
Yeah,
really.
it's also a very safe way.
Right.
Yeah, because there are accidents, sometimes it happens with when the truck is idling with fumes going into the cab, so. But yeah, so it can be a little safer, cleaner for the environment, so it can be a win for everybody.
Super, thank you.
Do we know of any cities in Texas that currently do this?
Yes, that's where you have the sample ordinance. It's in your.
Well, I
packet now.
mean, no, not the ordinance, but let's say the clean station where they can put the funnel into their window and get fresh, cool air that way.
I think they do offer it, Councilmember, around. I think
Because I love watching these truckers' videos. I watch them all the time. So I don't see anything, I don't see anyone talking about that. I know that they do have those fresh air stations, but the average trucker, from what I've seen, is not going to have the funds to do that.
Thank you.
And what I'm wondering is, how is Lytle going to police that? Is it the police going to be making rounds? Is it the code compliance officer? How are we going to go about doing this? I'm not against getting this ordinance. I'm all for it. I just want to be realistic on how it is that we plan on enforcing this, and is it, I don't see really where the truckers are going to have a choice to do this. They're not going to follow it. Basically, what I'm getting at.
So yeah, I mean, I think the enforcement action is going to come down between code compliance and the police if the council chooses to move forward on this. Now, how active that is, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. It's going to be a trial and error kind of thing. Same as, when we reduce the speed in town to 25, we depend on the police to enforce the laws y'all set forth by ordinance, and then we got to ensure we give them the manpower and the ability to do that.
Because in here, it talks about the 1,400-pound limit, which would, my understanding would be vehicles. Like, you go to HEB, your spouse or your son or whoever stays in the vehicle while you go run in there real quick. That's going to be exempt, correct?
Yes.
Because of
Yeah.
the size of the vehicle.
Yes.
Now, on these trucks, they have what's called an APU, it's auxiliary power unit, or basically a generator. Are we going to discourage that? Is that going to be allowed? Is that an exception to use an APU? It's still a generator, still producing carbon.
I think that's all up to council on how they want to set forth. If this is something they want to move down, is to sit down and maybe, have a workshop or talk about what we want to have in this, not have in it, how strict it wants, we want it to be or not be, or if it's not something we want to do at all.
So I know the APU units, the APU units are very expensive. They start at $2,000 for a good one, so it's not something that's going to be on every truck that comes through town. And especially, you know, with the amount of traffic that we get, there's just gonna be a lot of one-timers come through, and they're more than likely gonna violate the ordinance.
Like I said, it was just a conversation starter. As we continue to grow, we're going to continue to have these issues. We used to have it along the 35 access road, where neighbors were complaining that a truck was parked there and just idled all night long. We worked with TxDOT and got no parking established right
Now,
there.
that is a
fixed
very
some of
good point there, yes, because, I mean, yeah, they're with the AC. I know that, if, you know, you're down on Main Street, for example, and you're idling your vehicle because you're at home or whatever, you know, it's gonna be there for quite a few hours, that should be discouraged. That's easily discouraged, right? But I'm more concerned about is the truck stops. I mean, that's the purpose of a truck stop.
The main thing this is concentrating on is basically on the engine. So the idle means the operation of the engine, the operating mode where the engine is not engaged in gear. That's what they're talking about.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, you just kind of do designated areas where they could idle, because if y'all guys are getting an 18-wheeler truck gas station here, to be completely honest, if you're not gonna allow them to idle, my dad's a trucker, my family's a lot of truckers, they idle all night whenever they have to stay somewhere. If you're not gonna do that, there's no way that they're going to afford that to invest $10,000 into getting that, so that way they can do an electrical hookup. Who's to say that that gas station's even gonna wanna be here if you're gonna say there's no idling? Because they make money off of the people that are idling. They have to go in there for their showers. They have to go in there to go body change. So who's to say that that's even a good thing? I totally 100% agree with no idling or not even allowing them to be on our main street, to the fact that it was never created for that. I get that, but no idling at a truck stop. We're not Austin. We're not like crazy.
No, I don't disagree at all. All I'm saying is that we're seeing it starting to push with the containment and the ozone. I mean, whether we like it or not, we can just say it is what it is. We'll just wait till it gets to us and.
No, it's,
deal
I
with
mean,
it,
it's
yeah.
definitely an issue.
Yeah.
I go to work every morning, and right there at Love's, they're all parked all up and down the access road because there's no room in the Love station. So
I
we're going to
think-
see a lot of that here as
Yeah,
well.
and I think the point right now is try to get ahead of it, just like David has brought up. You know, this is a perfect time for us to go ahead and identify, so as these opportunities come across, that they're actually taking that into consideration on how to do that. So the
And there's
earlier
a-
that we actually put it in place, the better it is in the sense of being able to do that. There is differences, it talks about it in here, in a sense of which ones would be allowable, in a sense of delivering and doing different things. So there's exceptions that are in there. It's not an automatic case stop, you gotta turn it off. But there are exceptions in there. But if somebody's gonna, for the purpose of doing, and some of the examples are in there where they're gonna be sleeping, you know, those are the times to go in and consider something different. Doesn't address the APU, that's completely different. This is basically engine idling that goes along with that.
I say we're not trying to get anything passed tonight. It's just a conversation starter. If the council thinks that's the direction they want to look at, if not, then we don't go anywhere.
So would an appropriate motion be here to pursue the establishment of
Yes.
an ordinance? Not to absolutely establish it, but to pursue it, come up with a draft, and then come back to us? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, if y'all want us to come up with a draft, I can work with legal. We can come up with a draft and present it.
Yeah, I think enough questions have come up tonight that we shouldn't use just a boilerplate ordinance from another city.
Correct.
But our legal and city people look this over and talk about the particulars, like how does this come up here. So I would move that we do move ahead to draft an ordinance to establish limiting the idling of heavy-duty vehicles within the city limits under parameters set out in said ordinance.
Got a motion on the floor?
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and second that, but I would also like to add in there, can we talk to the new truck stop coming up? Get their opinion, get their ideas. Are they going to offer that? I know we were talking to them about the electrical stations for recharging vehicles.
Yeah,
That
we're
was
gonna-
one of the items we talked about. But can you reach out to them and ask them what their opinion is? They probably have better insight than what we do.
Yes, sir.
And get their opinion on that. Because if we can establish with this new truck stop and get something for the truckers to use. I don't know what the cost would be, but that's not here or there. But if we get something established, maybe we could set the norm for any future development that we have.
Yes, sir. I can reach out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I was
Yeah,
rather insistent that we press on with this, because
We can have to
if
do
we
this.
go that way,
yes,
we want to tell the developer over there, look, stop. It's gonna cost you some more money, but
yes.
to meet the city ordinance, you need to have these connections of some sort, whatever they come up with.
I
So,
agree.
yeah.
That's why I sent it. I agree.
A second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, is Charles still there?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. He's here.
I'm sir.
Are you here?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, council. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead and move on to J. Consider and act upon setting a date for workshop for utility and inspection rates.
So council, we need to have a workshop to discuss those kind of in a more informal way, so we can have direction on how to move forward. We need to look at our utility rates and our inspection rates. They're extremely low compared to everyone else around us, our national average, so we need to do something with them, but I want to get more feedback from the council and maybe just a workshop on my thought process and how we go from there.
Do you have any dates in mind or anything that you were thinking based
I'm-
on the timetable, Matt? Or?
No, I mean, I'm free whenever, so, by our own ordinance, we have to post for 30 days if we're gonna change these, prior to them taking into effect. So, obviously, the sooner, the better if we can have this, because my anticipation would be to have something active October 1 with the new budget year. But if we pushed into October, or November, if they didn't take effect, it doesn't really, it's not going to be super detrimental to us. But
How much time are you looking at for this workshop?
I don't know, as long as we want to talk, I guess. For me, it'd take me 10, 15 minutes to explain everything to you and then get some feedback from y'all. I mean, we could get it done in, I think, an hour, less.
I was just
Just all
wondering whether or
depends
not, I know in the past, if there was something that didn't take too much, we put it in the front end right before our meeting, so we would have like multiple nights. But it's up to you guys if you want to do that.
We've got a lot coming up.
No, I'm open for, if you want to do it separate, it's fine.
Okay.
We just need to agree on a date. I don't have a problem.
So the only day that I'm not available is Monday the 29th.
You're looking probably, try to do it early September instead, or 29?
We could do, if y'all wanted to meet September 5th, I mean, it's a few Mondays in a row, but we're going to have that,
That's
we're part of
Labor Day.
budget year. Oh, yeah, don't do
Labor Day.
September 5th because I won't be here at the city holiday. So we can do,
How's- do you-
About the following
do
week.
you- What do you guys think, maybe next week, on the 30th, on a Tuesday?
Tuesday works for me. I know some people do go to church on Wednesday, so that
Yeah,
might not be a
so
good
I was
idea.
thinking Tuesday, next week, just so we can help Matt out.
Tuesday works for me.
Tuesday the 30th, how's that look? Sam?
It's fine with me.
Same thing, 6:30. Or are we gonna
Yep,
meet early?
6:30?
6:30 works for me.
Okay. That way we can help Matt out and help Lynette also, trying to take care of all this stuff. So 30th of August at 6:30, I need somebody to go ahead and make
Yeah,
a
I make
motion.
that motion that we hold a workshop for utility and inspection rates on Tuesday, 30th of August at 6:30 at City Hall.
Got a motion on the floor?
We'll go to second.
Got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Okay, consider and act upon FY '22 and '23 proposed budget.
All right, gentlemen, if you don't mind, we're going to look at the screen. The one I sent you, we've already tweaked some more because we got some numbers in from the appraisal district on our tax rates, so we can cover those tonight too. I want to start this with saying, I get to speak to you tonight and stand in front of you like as if I did all this myself. This would not have been, where it is today or accomplished had Paula not fixed a ton of stuff in our tax computer. I couldn't explain to y'all how much work she's done in that tax computer and how much she has fixed the data that was in there to make us where we are today. We were way off, and now we're a fraction off, and it is huge on that. Second would be...
You had a $232,000 variance. Paula has it down to a little under $3,000.
That's huge. And the amount of work she did in that system to get it where it needed to be so we could get true numbers out of it to send to the appraisal district for our tax rate. I'm glad it was her and not me, because she worked nonstop. And then other was Lynette, working through, putting numbers together, creating a lot of this for me. Like I said, I get to stand before you and present it, but it's those two that did a lot of this work, so kudos to those two.
Awesome.
So we're going to cover this real quick. Maybe. Hold on. And that's already still, where's your clicker? Is it plugged in? Oh, she hadn't plugged me in yet. There's your IT stuff. All right.
All right.
Prepared work numbers, not IT stuff, right?
Sure.
I guess I'll plug that in. Maybe? Big bucks, no wins?
It just takes a little bit of time,
Yeah, we got
but it's cycled through.
There we go. All right. So we're going to cover a lot. It's just everyone involved here. There's our organizational chart from the city. It actually shows you how we flow in the city and how many positions we have in the city, which is kind of neat. Two messages, one from me and one from Lynette. I'll let y'all read through those. 2022 tax rates. We just got these back hot off the press. Our total taxable value is $234,332,070. The no new revenue rate is 0.3443. The voter approval rate is 0.3654. And the de minimis rate is 0.5574. So the no new revenue is the amount or the rate we would set if we wanted to bring in the exact same amount of money we brought in this year. The voter approval rate is where we can go to, the line we can get to without crossing, without forcing an election. So that's where most of your people will go, is right up to that voter approval rate. And this was built based off that voter approval rate. That's why we've made some corrections. As required, we're presenting this to you tonight, a proposed budget. There's a lot of things when you do a budget that it's not as simple as, hey, these are some numbers, you approve it, don't approve it, let's move forward. We got to do this. We got to post stuff within 5 days, do this, within 10 to 15, do this. So that's where I'm working with legal to make sure we stay in line. So you can see off the new budget will raise about $88,000 more than it did last year in the ad valorem. That's an 11% increase. A lot of that is based off the increased values as well as the new properties that were added to the property roll this year. We have, it's going to tell you there, $88,205. We've expensed 100% of that, but you're going to see here in a minute, we got a little bit more that we could adjust and play around with. We didn't spend all of it for you. But we're pretty close to everything in, everything out. So talking about utility rates, this is super important. We have to do something with our utility rates. If we don't, and we stay exactly where we are, budget doesn't work, certificates of obligation don't work. That's the God's honest truth right there. If we're not going to change those, we might as well put the brakes on everything we're doing and tell the developers, thank you, but not today. So you can see where everybody is around us. Castroville, Divine, Hondo, and then where we are. You can see we are well below everyone else. Extremely well below. I'm working on a utility rate, and we'll get that done in this coming year, but we have to move sooner rather than later on that. Hotel occupancy tax, that's how we collect it. It's where it's coming in. A lot of it comes from the Best Western over there. We did increase it some, but most of that is money in and some money out because it's hot tax and we can't spend it on just everything. It's very limited on what we can spend it on. The ARPA money, so we are set to get another $379,885 in August. I will tell you, we do not have that number built into this coming year's budget because we haven't got that money in yet. I'd hate for us to build it in and build the budget over that, and for some strange reason, the government said, hey, never mind, we cut that off. So keep in mind that we're still going to have another, call it $380,000 in the budget for infrastructure we can spend. A lot of that, I would imagine, is going to go towards these big projects we're doing because we're going to bid them, and I hope we find them lower than what we're quoted from our engineers, but if it's like everything else we've seen lately, it's probably going to be higher, so we're going to need a little extra money to do things. Certificates of obligation, that's how it's going to be spent. Your water system, $6,115,000. Sewer system, $1.4 million. Roads and sidewalks is $985,000 for a total of $8.5 million. We've had our, well, I'll let Lynette talk about our bond rating later. We're going to use these numbers here. This is the amount of homes they anticipate being built in the next few years. There's Rosewood, Lytle Farms, the duplexes, and so forth. I think next year I think we're going to be below 279. I built the budget at about 169, which is some of the numbers that I was hearing. So when we built this budget with impact fees and stuff like that, we geared it off of that lower number to be more conservative. Raw numbers here. So your general GAs, general accounting, your PD, parks, public works, streets, library, animal control, and your court. This year we broke out municipal court from the police department. So when you see the police department's budget, it is a true cost of what the police department costs. It does not have the court in it, does not have bailiffs, municipal judges, or your fire department contract in it. That's all rolled up into there. So you see how that comes in, money in, money out. We're going to have some transfers from the water and sewer funds and the gas funds back into the general fund to help support the general fund and the bond payments. So you'll see the $18,110 kind of over there in the right there. That's what we've got left to kind of figure out where we want to spend it. Again, I'm going to caution you on let's not go too crazy spending. It's not a lot of money, but we can add that to that 379 and see where it's going to fall with these projects we're doing. If later on in the year they all bid really good and we've got extra money, then we can redo our budget and amend it.
Can I interrupt you and ask
Yes,
a
sir.
question? Why is there an expense on the community side?
An expense because we have to hire the janitors and stuff like that,
That's
and we're going to
$78,000?
cover through it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but
Our community center really has a pretty high electrical rate. Most of that you see in there is electrical. So I can give you the actual.
But it
number.
does come out to 78,000?
78,000.
That's what it shows on there.
no, we got some spend downs coming out of it's community centers wrapped up into the other community stuff that we're going to do with maybe hot tax money.
Okay,
Too.
so
So you
that
go,
is
yeah,
not
that- it's not,
community center
yeah,
by itself.
it's not just the community
Okay,
center.
that just stuck.
Yeah, I know.
No,
Okay.
that comes out, it comes out to about $4,000.
Okay, well, that makes more
A month,
sense.
you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're gonna break through all of those as well. So your projected revenues, that's how we anticipate them coming in. You see a lot of it coming in from your bond money, and then everything else kind of falls in line. Expenses, of course, bond money is going to be the most out. I don't anticipate us obviously spending all the money for the water, the $6.1 million in next year's budget. It'd just be almost impossible. But we budgeted in, we budgeted it out. So we'll see how it falls from there. But that's kind of how you fall with the different projects here in town. So sorry for the small typing and font there, but it's the best we could get it in here. So in the general fund, you can see the ad valorem taxes, it's up to $855, and then tax collection delinquent. We didn't change a whole lot here. City sales tax we raised a tiny bit. We think we're going to be right at that 1.5 this year. We'll see how we move next year if we need to adjust that up, but I think staying closer there is good. The biggest increase, why we went at the total revenue total from 3.2 to 4.4, the last three items there, the transfer from water, gas, and sewer funds. Those are funds being transferred into the general fund to help pay the bond payment. Those bond payments have to come from the general fund, and we have to send money from those funds to the general fund to help make those payments and then support operations we still do in the general fund. Those monies are coming from, well, we'll talk about here. They're coming from a lot of your user fees and some impact fees, stuff like that. I'm sorry, the expenses. We'll cover expenses. You'll see from 985 to 1.9, and feel free to stop me if y'all have any questions. We've looked at these numbers about 1,000 times, so they kind of run with me. No big jumps there. We're going to add some stuff. You'll see. Oh, I'll take that back. Building inspections. We've got that budgeted as 101,000 going out, but we've got it budgeted at 135,000 coming in. That is us on what my anticipation should be on what we should be charging on inspections, and that's based off the number of new homes the developer said they're going to build and how many inspections we get per home. So we have to cover some more costs. Before, that was a wash. Whatever we brought in, we sent out, and we lost time in everything we did internally. We're now going to recoup some of that cost and make sure we're covering our costs there, as well as buying new software to make the building process or the building permits process a lot easier. It kills Miss Paula and her assistant in there in handwriting everything they do. And if you have to research something, you have to go back through handwritten notes. And something that should take you a couple seconds with the click of a mouse takes them sometimes a couple hours to go research. And it's unbelievable we haven't gone there yet. So that's our plan in that budget. In your police budget here.
So man, just for clarification on council, just so you know. So we're talking about inspections, anything that people are putting in. So if somebody's getting a permit and it does not require inspections, that's not going to be the cost.
So your permit is still,
sure.
let's say you're getting a fence. A fence permit is still staying at, I think it's $5 or whatever. And Skip, our code compliance, is going to look at it real quick. And his job is just to make sure somebody's not building it on the city's easement with utilities in there or, that kind of thing. This is, you're going to build a new house and you're required to have, a framing inspection, a plumbing inspection, those kind of things. That's where your inspection fees are coming from.
On several meetings ago, before my time, it was brought up that our fees for our permits was extremely low. Has that been relooked at? And is that going to be increased?
So the permit fees, we will look at those, but
because some of the contractors were making that comment.
Yes.
I mean, not that they wanted to pay more, but they were just
yeah, so we're going to cover some of those costs with the inspections, right? So as you're building a new home, you're going to pay more for that inspection. We'll look at the permit fees next. That'll be the next thing. I'm saying we're going to look probably with us, what we charge permit fees in the city for, I'm going to say City Hall. We'll get the police to look at their fees in the fire marshal's office, as well as animal control in the library. We need to do that as a whole. But to make this budget work, we did not look at those. We're not adjusting those. We were able to make it work with just looking at our inspection fees and our utility rates.
I might be talking out of line, but I just want to make sure we try to get monies from other places, such as that, instead of strictly from the taxpayer.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
we're looking at all that.
Yes, sir. We are.
Thank you.
In your police budget, a true police budget, it's 1.1 last year. It's $1,064,000 this year. No big jumps there. What you're going to see is we don't have the police vehicles from the 149 in next year's budget. We're going to look at some numbers and build 2 new police cars, but that payment's going to be deferred a year, so that'll come in the budget after. And again, just like Public Works, we're going to be able to take that money and spread it out over 3 or 4 years. Lynette and I have talked though. I'm a true believer in if you've got the money to pay off your debt, pay it off early. There's no penalty on anything we do. Like James's piece of machine that we just bought, if come end of the year, for some strange reason everything worked out and we have excess funds, we can pay off his machine and be out and just save us some interest on it. So that's the way we're setting up all of our stuff. I don't know that's going to happen, but would be my goal. Municipal court, they're kind of different. You're right. We call them revenue totals bringing in $332,000. A lot of that's going to be from fines, and that's a joint between municipal court and your police department out there writing citations. And then your expenses is $316,000. We have an increase to your magistrate. That's our contract magistrate. We took her up $1,000 a year. And then your municipal judge, he asked for an increase from, I think he was at 13, and he asked to go to 20. So we gave them what they were looking at. No other big ticket items there, other than we do have half an employee that's paid out of there now. when we hired that part-time person in municipal court that were split between them and a utility fund. Streets and parks, it's kind of misleading, right? Because this is Wayne over at the park and handling stuff, but the way it's always been coded is it was streets and parks. So you'll see some bond allocation money here of $985,000 to the capital improvements for sidewalks and streets. I did not budget any money into street paving, the typical $100,000 we do every year, because in my belief, we're rolling that into this $8.5 million. So we're going to be able to pave some streets. We're just doing it with funds from a bond versus ad valorem taxes and other stuff like that. So outside of that, no other big ticket items. Everything pretty much stayed the same. Then your community center expense there, you can see we have community activities and events. We raised that from $20,000 to $48,000. A lot of that's going to be, we're hoping to do some stuff with our tourism money, our hot tax money, and partner maybe with the chamber, stuff like that. We need to do more with that money. It's great having it sit in the bank, but at some point you've got a whole lot of money sitting in the bank that you still only spend it on certain things. So let's start doing little things we can do now and drive up that tourism back to the city and bring more sales tax. Senior activities we left the same. We reduced the repairs and maintenance to the public library. That is, for some reason it was a weird transfer from there. That's how they funded the library, and they did a transfer. Yeah, for pay. It was weird why it failed. I don't know, but everything we're talking about now falls into the general fund's cookie. So we have a big pot right here, general fund, and all this money is being funded by general fund. No other big ticket items there. Your library, so the library and animal control we're going to cover next. Both of them have some income, but they're not very large just because of the sheer nature of what they do. But your library, we reduced, and I talked to both Cassandra and Santi over these on their incomes to get a more realistic approach on what they brought in last year and what they anticipate for this year. So these are closer numbers. So Cassandra, we really looked at hers, and we think it's about $2,200 she's going to bring in. We removed, there was a line item for Atascosa County for $7,300, but we could never find it coming in. And come to find out, it never touches our bank account. It's something she submits to Atascosa, like an invoice to Atascosa County, and they just pay directly. We don't need to carry that on our books. It's not our money. We never get it in the city. No reason to account for it. But there's your salaries and wages. We did move a part-time person to full-time status over there. So there's an increase a little bit to your, Social Security and health benefits, workers' comp, stuff like that. But she's got a total budget of $243,000. Animal control, their revenues brought them down a little bit. They're down to $6,190. And then their total wages come out to $313,000. And that is with the 3 full-time people and the 1 part-time person. The part-time people that we have, like the animal control person and Skip, where we're going to reduce their number of hours so they don't work more than the 20. They'll probably go to 4-day work weeks maybe, so we can keep them under that threshold by our policy and for retirement and benefits. But we're looking at increasing their hourly wage so they don't really lose money in the long run. So that's, you'll see there. Your water fund. So here's your big fund.
Can you go back a second?
Yes, sir.
So on this page, the salaries remain the same, but I did notice on the group health life insurance, there was a 75% increase. It went from 14.7
Here's what we did with that.
to 25.
So our insurance was kind of calculated. It wasn't always a true number. So when we did our wages for all of our insurance and everything, I took what it would cost to renew for workers' comp. The total cost for workers' comp is this. We have X number of employees, divide that out, and then we've got 3 people in this line item, so that's their amount. So we're trying to show a better representation on what it cost us for those benefits across the board.
Because I only noticed it in the library. I didn't notice
in
it
the library or the...
Michael, there was a lot of numbers that were...
So the correct number would be 25.
Yeah, these numbers...
They weren't estimated correctly.
I understand.
These are the best numbers that we could come with.
Yes.
These are the best numbers we could come up with based off of our knowledge and working through these.
I just didn't see the salary increase, but then I saw that line item.
Well,
so.
we have lost a full-time person over there. So, but what you're going to see is the rest of it kind of increased because we put full-time people in.
It was a part-timer, we lost a part-timer.
Right, a part-timer.
Yeah, in the library, yeah. So where we lost money there, we had money to kind of, when that person goes away, some of their funds stayed with the full-time person. So
Okay.
where we added a position, a full-time position, their overall salaries didn't go up because they still had enough from last year that would have covered that if we had 3 people.
Right.
So
Okay.
we took 2 and turned into 1.
So our health insurance went up because it
Yeah,
cost
the
about
benefits
$10,000
go-
a year
Yeah.
per employee. So that's where you're seeing the double there. And of course, the workers' comp didn't change that much, but it was calculated a little wrong. And then the retirement went up, of course.
Okay. And that's okay. Thank you.
Talking about the water fund, so no CRF funds and no ARPA funds. We're not showing any of those coming in yet. So keep that in mind. The ARPA funds, 379, I think it was, we should be getting this month. And then you see the water service fees, $893,100. I built that based off of an increased rate of kind of what I've mentioned before. Not a very high increase, but getting us higher than where we are, nowhere near where we should be though. Water impact fees and your water tapping fees as well as your water acquisition. You see those raised quite a bit. That's based off the number of homes that the developers told us they were going to build over this next year. So that's where a lot of our bond money's coming. And then you'll see transfers on the expense side down at the bottom. We're going to transfer in, I got to scoot into this. Didn't look this small on my computer, I promise. So transfer to general fund, $651,000 is what we're going to transfer to general fund to help take care of our bond payments and stuff like that and support the general fund. But the water acquisition fund, we're going to send the full $165,060 into that water acquisition fund. That way we have money there to continue buying additional water rights. It's going to add into what we already have, and when we present a final budget, you're going to see full cash we have and what those amounts are. So if we're going to have a fund that says water fund or whatever, you're going to see how much money we physically have in the bank and then how much money we're bringing in this year and then how we want to keep adding to that. And then the other one, the mini backhoe payment of $26,000, and then the impact fee. We're going to send all of the impact fee funds of $354 is kind of what we're looking at. Again, water impact is going to keep adding to that account, so when we continue to have infrastructure projects, we can keep funding those.
Let me ask you a question on we're in an obvious downturn in the economy. Have you gotten any feedback from the developers about a slowdown in the number of houses there?
None. None.
No feedback yet?
We've had nothing. They're still blowing and going.
I have asked and asked. And I've asked realtor friends. I cannot find a reason. Matt and I have talked about this over and over for the last couple of weeks.
So you expected some sort of turn down, but you're not seeing it? Is that what I'm hearing?
I expected it, but
We thought about it, but we're not seeing it or any.
All my realtor friends said, all the developers here said that the only thing that's slowing them down a little bit is material, but it has nothing to do with the purchasing of the house.
They're selling them as fast as they can build.
So if we don't have transportation problems or supply problems, they're gonna keep building as per. Great.
That's what they're saying.
And the type of home that we're building in the medium range.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that are still affordable.
Yeah, sure.
I can tell you one of the developers that's building right now, the only reason they're not into their next phase is because they haven't taken it, they haven't accepted it yet from the builder. There's a couple things they're waiting minor fixes. Otherwise they'd be over there building already.
Our permits, our sales permits at Collins, we were up, what did I say, 28%, 38%?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're up again from last month.
Great, super.
So
Yeah.
we're building it to that. It's what it looks like. The gas fund. So we got 516 coming in, and we've got 516 going out. Some of the big ticket items is, and the reason this worked, is the CPS gas maintenance contract. I don't have the official document saying that's what it is, but the initial offer was twice what they were charging us this year. It's since been reduced to $116,000 is what they've told us in our meetings. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse. So I'm waiting for our representative to send me that official notice saying this is what we're going to charge you in O&M. Here's a new contract, so I can bring it before council. We can get moving on that. But because of that, the gas fund works. Without that, the gas fund would have been in some major issues. What I did do in the gas fund is moved an employee. So we have I think it's two full-time employees from Public Works that are paid out of there, and then we had another higher paid City Hall person that was paid out of there. To make the gas fund work, I took the higher paid City Hall person, put them into the fund that had more money, and took that half person and threw them into the gas fund. Just moving people around, but in the end it worked. Sewer fund, this is the next one that gets a big ticket item. So you'll see they've got 2.4 million coming in. 1.4 million of that is from the bond money, and that going out is the 1.4 million to consulting and engineering. What that's going to do is develop the plans for the sewer plant expansion. Basically, they're going to write us our plans and do everything on taking the sewer plant and flopping it to the next side and building exactly what we have again. I did tell them though that James, instead of having the drying beds, he would prefer a belt press or something like that.
Is that why the salaries are such a drastic change?
Yes, yeah, because we moved some people around.
Okay.
So we got some, where this was a lower end person, they went to the lower end fund, and the higher end person went to that other fund. Yeah, so that's why you see some changes in salary. We just kind of moved some people around to make the numbers work better. Other than that, no real big ticket items. We're going to transfer the impact fees, the impact fund, back into that item for the savings, and then we're going to transfer general fund money of $188,000 to help support the general fund and make bond payments. Any questions on here? It's kind of a quick deal. Like it's just a presentation to the council, so we can say it was officially done. We can put some notices in the paper, and we can start that timeline for adopting our tax rate, and then moving forward with the bond hearing, or not a bond hearing, a budget hearing, and getting our official budget adopted. Nothing set in stone, so if you saw something you didn't like, you want to make adjustments to, feel free to reach out to me, and we can talk about it and see where we can move some stuff around. It's a living, breathing document, and I'm sure we may see some things and make some changes again.
Is now the time to talk about salary increases?
This was built with this was built with a 5% salary increase to all employees.
Right. And is this 5%, although justified, is this 5% going to be expected for every year? Or is this something that you're looking at?
We haven't had them in the last couple of years. I think it was closer to the 3%, right, Chief?
Yeah,
Somewhere
we've done 3 for many years,
Right.
and we tried some other methods where we got
Yeah.
across the board increases.
It wasn't real fair, so
5%, it's been a number of years since we've done 5, I mean, maybe
So
10
the
years.
question is this something we're expecting for this budget? And then next year, we're going to look for another 5%, or are we
I
going
think we need to keep moving that direction with our employees. We need to take care of our greatest assets, and that's our employees. So if
No,
we
I
can
agree,
continue to move
but,
in that,
I have a problem with doing 5% every year. I understand, I'm going to look like the bad guy here, but I understand that you guys are doing a great job. At 5% is not uncalled for. With the amount of work that y'all now take on, based on the restructuring of everything here in the city, I mean, y'all definitely deserve that, but I'm kind of looking into the future. And maybe this is not the time to bring it up, maybe the next budget's the time to bring it up.
And I think that would probably be good to go ahead and consider each one individually. Because
So we
probably-
reevaluate this
Yeah,
next
because we
year.
gotta look at cost of living, right?
this is helping cover that cost of living. Now, this does not have any increases to myself, Lynette, or Paula, because we'd already got her. So there's not an additional 5% built in for us. Ours was the last council meeting, so there's no increase to us.
So normally, traditionally, the last 23 years, that's exactly, Mr. Rodriguez, what the council does is each year they look at it, and then, so we don't have any kind of, and obviously, there's some areas where it probably would work in the police department, we have a step program, but traditionally what they do is look, and we've got everything from 2.5% to 10%. I'll tell you, when I first was hired, we did 10% 3 years in a row.
Yeah, I think when I was hired, yeah.
Because our salaries were so
Right.
low. So,
Right.
but I think really no one expects, I mean, I think the way we've got it set up is it just kind of, each year you look at it and you look at what's going on and, so that's what
It
it's always
might be,
been.
it might be a good time, if we have some extra money next year, to probably go ahead and bring in and do another study on our wages. We did that, I think it was 4 years ago.
And I can get on, we can do that, and I can jump on TML and pull salary
There was a
surveys
huge-
from them.
A huge gap.
Yeah, well, for the record, I mean, I agree with this 5%. You guys are definitely doing more than had been done before. I mean, that's kind of.
We built it, we did it 3 and 5%. And 5% worked, so we stayed obviously with the 5%, because the cost of living and everything going up. I think we need to do that for our employees.
Okay, sounds good.
Good question. Good. So the item that we have is consider an act upon the proposed budget, so we need to go.
We need to take action and approve the proposed budget, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. So I need a motion for us to go ahead and approve the proposed budget.
I move that we approve the proposed fiscal year 22-23 budget.
I'll second it.
We got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's see, we are at 8:05. We're gonna go ahead and take a break. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break, but before we go on break, found out today I got a little intel. Found out today that James hit his 17th anniversary, working anniversary with us. Is that right, James?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we're not going to sing to you, but we'll just go ahead and present it to you and say happy anniversary. Thanks for taking care of our community, without a doubt. Have a zebra cake. There you go. All right, let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. Okay, council, let's go ahead and continue on, and we're going to go ahead and move on to L. Consider an act upon the agreement for tax assessment and collection contract from Atascosa County. Matt.
So y'all all got a copy of the approved contract from Atascosa County. Again, we're just looking at the tax collection portion of it, not the delinquent tax collection portion of it right now. A lot of it, though, you can see there, they've got breakdowns on cost. It is $1.50 per parcel to collect, plus 10 cents per parcel for the CAD fee. So a total of $1.60 per parcel. And if we choose to not go with their firm for delinquent tax collection, it adds an additional 10 cents per parcel to it. So again, tonight, it's how we want to do it. Our delinquent tax collection contract's not on the agenda. That's not up until the end of this calendar year. So this is just for moving forward with our tax collection contract and transferring everything over come February 2023.
For debt collection, is there an advantage either way?
I think some of it comes down to, whether or not you've got somebody locally collecting them, somebody you like collecting them, you don't like that firm that's collecting them. That's kind of what it comes down to.
So they don't have anything special on the county level that...
I think the connection is just that they are the delinquent tax collection firm for the county. So that's probably why the county submits it that way. You're not obligated to go with that firm. We have Mr. Kate is our current delinquent tax collection attorney who does that. We have the firm Purdue, which works in our municipal court, collects municipal court fines for us. They've expressed interest in becoming a delinquent tax collector for us as well. So there's interest out there. It's just who the council wishes to choose.
Matt, would you speak briefly to the trade-off or the balance of us not doing the taxes ourselves and paying someone else to do it? How does it come out in the wash as far as money goes?
So if we were to stay with tax collection, we would need to hire another full-time person because our building permits are going to explode over the next couple of years. And that's going to also increase the amount of workload on the tax collection side. We need to have, if we're going to do tax collection, we need to send the person off to get all the certifications required. Currently, our person has applied for them. We're waiting for TDLR to approve their license. It's in their hands now. But it's something that if we're going to do that, we're going to have to funnel more money and hire more people. If we don't.
Plus the software.
Yeah, the software. There's no doubt. We pay $15,000 a year for this software, for the Harris Governance software. I believe is what we've got budgeted for it. And it's more beneficial for us. We could do away with that software. We could do away with that internet connection that comes to that computer, that monthly fee we get. and pay a lower fee for the county to do it for us.
The software, since the contract isn't in effect now, won't take effect, they'll start doing this maybe in March or later?
Yeah, the handover would be February 23 is what we're looking at.
Okay, but have we budgeted in this next year fiscal year for the software?
I
Or
don't
not?
think we did. Well, I'll have to look at that. I don't think I did. I'll make a note of that.
Until, I left it in there until I know for sure that it was going.
That was my
Okay.
issue.
Because
Okay.
if by some chance
Mhm.
we can't get it there, I needed to make sure it was covered.
Yeah, my understanding, when I talked to Ms. Holly about this one time, our ducks need to be in a row before they're willing to take it over.
Yes,
Regardless of
and
what the contract says. We have to work with them and they have to say, okay, we're satisfied that what you're giving us is the right stuff.
And I was very concerned about that until last week.
We
Okay,
had two big hurdles, and
And-
Paul has
yeah.
accomplished one already for us.
And
The
we-
second,
Like I said, I've got the.
so you feel comfortable that we're ready to do the
Absolutely.
handover?
The general ledger and true automation are almost matched up. We have some discrepancies, but I think it was, and I'm not gonna say, I know it was, the differences between us, what she has in there and not collecting on the delinquent when they really weren't delinquent.
Right, yeah.
Those discrepancies, which we're gonna have to go in and actually fix on both sides.
So if we do this and the handover is smooth, the money that we budgeted for the software,
Can be reapplied.
yeah, it can be, as long as we don't have to
we
re-up
stay
it
in
to
the
keep
general
us going,
fund
yeah.
somewhere, we could use it elsewhere.
Yeah, and
We're
then the
talking
money,
15 or so
It
thousand
was
dollars.
15,000 is what.
Super. Good.
so yeah, it's gonna be a benefit for us. And like I said, we're done having to figure that out, all those licenses, additional training, and then we're gonna be able to really focus on our building permits, which is where we need to focus for the coming years.
If I'm not mistaken, we already went through this discussion about going down this road and we approved it. What we're looking at right now is the agreement.
This is the actual contract approved by Commissioners Court. If y'all approve it, we'll sign it, we'll send it back to them, and then
Yeah, if you
once we
notice,
get
it's
all of our
already
ducks in a
signed.
row, we
Oh, yeah,
actually
yeah.
transfer it February 23. We got one more hurdle to jump, but Paula's got that ironed out. She knows what she's got to do, and we're working towards it.
A little back history, Matt, in case some of the council know. The school used to collect their own taxes. Lytle did, Natalia did. They all had their own tax offices. So years ago, a lot of the entities did that, and now, I don't know how many of them around the city still collect their own, but a majority of them now, because I pay property taxes on in numerous entities on stuff, and they all have gone to almost, they're just,
Yeah.
that's just the way they've all done.
So
Send
are
it
we
to those
leaning towards
professionals.
the county? Is that what
I'm sorry?
are we leaning towards the county?
Yes, Ascos County is who we've talked about where we had the ball rolling.
Okay.
Right, and that's what this contract does. It's
That's
with the
correct.
county. Well, I move that we accept this contract with the county to take over the tax collection.
Yeah, I'll second that.
A second. Okay, any further discussion?
Is that gonna be in 2023?
February 23 is when we anticipate the handoff.
Any other further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to item number 7, executive session. This is where we actually have an opportunity to see if there's any updates or report of pending city litigation. Is there anything that needs to be brought in front of the council?
Nothing new, Mayor.
Nothing we need to do. Okay. So this is just an update report, so we don't need no action on that. Okay. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to item number 8, the department reports. So, animal control, director's report, you're on, Santi.
Sorry. Sorry. Oh, I'll know, yeah, I'll know. Mess with it.
There you go. Well, you can touch it.
I didn't know I was messing with it. Alright, you had 115 calls for service for the month of July. Set 2 traps out, 1 dog returned to the owner. Transferred 36 animals out.
Wow.
Took in 18, total count right now was about 66. But a few left So the number's gonna change, and at the end of, towards the end of this month, August 27th, we have transport coming. I believe 10 animals will be leaving. They'll be going to Quebec to
Oh,
Frontier.
awesome. Okay, so that's gonna be even more. So
Yeah.
you're looking at about 40
Santi,
something.
could you, in the future, maybe, can we break that down between cats and dogs?
Yes,
Is that
yes,
possible?
yes, I could do that.
Thank you.
This is the animals transferred to the rescue Humane Society, 2 dogs. Snitza, 2 dogs on the 11th, on July 14th, 9 cats to Off the Pets Alive, 7 dogs to Snitza, 9 to Humane Society, 1 dog to Snitza, and 1 cat to Off the Pets Alive, 5 dogs to Quebec Frontier Animal Society. And like I said, we have another one coming up. So, and then this past last week, I took 3 dogs to the Humane Society as well.
Awesome.
Had a total of 6 volunteers, a total of 17 hours. Betty, 3, Lorena, 3 hours, Ruben Gonzalez Jr., 3, Ruben Gonzalez Sr., 3, Audrey Kroger, Betty's granddaughter, 3, and then Liz Trujillo, 2 hours.
Trujillo.
Yeah, she came by. I think she's from Castroville. Came by to do a couple of hours. As of July 31st, our animal medical is $4,654. Spay neuter $4,668. And facility fund still trying to figure that out. I didn't update it right here on the stuff June, but it's July 5 animals euthanized, 4 adopted, and 180 transferred to rescues.
So council, just pay close attention. I mean, they've been doing an outstanding job. Just look at the euthanized numbers in there. It used to be where they're at now. So,
2011 is when I started, so we euthanized part of 235 compared to this year. 11 years later, 5. That's trying to work with rescue and getting them out.
And Ms. Aguinera, she told me to tell y'all she's very thankful for y'all the job y'all are doing.
Is
With a
Ms.
cat?
Aguina Lake Street?
Yes.
Yes. She adopted. We had a cat there. She had
Right,
a cat
yeah.
coming around. We helped her get it fixed, and she adopted it. Thank you. This past,
that's busy.
didn't change it again. We had 100 pet owners come for food. 1 new person from Lytle. A total of 99 animals were served. That's cats and dogs together. I didn't get the breakdown of that. But yeah, more and more, we're getting more new people every month.
Yeah, we had 30 vehicles lined up. It's not even 7:30 already lined up.
And then this past Saturday, this past Saturday we had a Dragonfly Rescue. They came by and did some spay neuters. They did 27 animals. And then our next one is in September, and that list is filling up. And it's usually the people that come from Ellis Pantry for food is who we help get on the list to get their animals fixed.
So what they actually do, Santa, is it something that would normally cost like $600?
Yes,
might
yes,
cost
depending on what
like
kind of animal.
75 or something like
no,
that?
They're paying $75 for a dog and $25 for a cat. So it's a big relief for people who don't have the money, 200, 300 plus, to go to a veterinary clinic to get it done. And Dragonfly does it pretty quick. They do the service pretty quick, so they're in and out. So this is helping the community and people from outside the area that come for food and stuff.
So let me ask you about the food. I just don't know much about that. What do people have to say or do or prove before you give them food, and then how much food do they get? How does that work?
It all depends on how much gets donated to us. We get it from San Antonio Humane Society. When they get it, they call me up, and I end up going.
What kind of food is it?
It's just dog food, cat food.
Dry food, canned food?
Dry food. Sometimes some wet. And when they get a load, they call me, and I go pick it up, and then If we got a lot, they get a good amount, but if we're down to, if we don't get too many donations from the Humane Society, then we kind of break it down into baggies, into Ziploc bags, 1 gallon bags, and try to give them enough just to get by until they're able enough to get more food for their animals, like next paycheck or something like that.
Oh,
So they get, like for cats, you got kitten and then the regular cat food. And you
Got
got
small
feral
dog.
too, and then
okay,
the small
but
dogs.
it's not like a 25-pound bag of food or
Oh,
something
no.
like that.
Depending if we get a lot, sometimes it was like there's like it's like half a bag sometimes of a 25-pound or 40-pound
Okay.
bag.
Oh.
So they get if we get enough, we're able to give a little more to them to get by and stuff. But if we're down to very minimal, then we kind of break it down a little bit to how many dogs they have.
They track. They actually sign in. Everybody who actually gets.
Yeah, we sign.
They sign in. So.
And if they have one animal, they get a certain amount, do they get more if they say they have 5 animals?
Yes.
Okay.
So we kind of we don't go by the word, but we have them fill out a form and stuff, and then end up bringing their animals to get done, to get neutered or spayed. So
We try to stick to around like 4-ish, something
Yeah.
like that. You'll have somebody say, "Well, I got 10." Well, man, we gotta take care of
Yeah.
everybody.
because there's got like
So we
20
just-
cars
we
behind
just
them.
Give the max around 4 or 5 per visit, you know.
Okay.
So that's how we can make sure that we take care of it. And I think this last time we were able to take care of everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that worked out good.
Yeah.
2 previous times we had to do what Sante was talking about, grabbing bags, separating it a little bit more, and being a little bit more strict with the
Right.
sizes
Like
that
when
we're
I-
giving out.
We'll have volunteers come by, and I'll have them bag food into 1 gallon bags, just to be prepared. 'Cause we have one coming up this Saturday. So
Thank you.
Questions, council? Thanks, Sante.
thank you.
Appreciate it. And bring those photos next time.
Yes. We're still working on getting some from them.
Get some photos, that'd be good. Thank you, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, library, here you go, Cassandra.
No, oh, that's right. It's still working. Sorry, I can't see.
Don't touch?
I'm not touching.
No, you can touch.
Okay. Okay, so our computer usage has been going up. In fact, this month I already looked at it and we're already over 100. People are coming back into the library to use the computer, and then we've had, of course, we've got 3 kids' computers, and it's like they get in the line ready to use that computer. It doesn't have internet on it, it's just got games, but it's only a 20-minute session, so we have like, okay, your time's up, the next person who's gonna get on. And let's see, we had, our checkouts went out, up again to 1,600. Oh, I'm sorry, 1,609. We had 10 new accounts, 40 account renewals, and then April, May, 28 library cards. And we changed our events for the craft night. We're going to start in the fall because with losing Nicole in July, it kind of put a damper, so somebody had to pick up story time. So I'm trying to prepare story time, and one of the girls, either myself or one of the other girls, is doing it. So we're still working on the sections project. Now we're going to fall even more behind, but we started working on the paperbacks. We didn't realize that we had missed those, but we actually finished them, and we're about halfway done with the biography, so that just leaves us with the nonfiction and the Texana. And of course, we're still offering curbside because we do have these ladies and men who do not want to come into the library. They would rather just be outside, and we bring them the bag, and they give us their bag with their books to return, and we bring them new books. So our summer reading program went really well. We didn't have a big turnout, but it was good. Kids, they enjoyed the stories, the crafts, and the games, and they especially loved this one that I found on Pinterest. I took a box, well actually we had a hat originally, the kids couldn't see what was inside it. And it was all these little like McDonald's toys and little figurines, and what they had to do was create a story with what they pulled out of the hat or whatever, or a box. So they really liked it. Every week was like, are we going to do the story? I'm like, yes, we're going to do the story. So it was a way to get them to make their own stories. So we sat in a circle around the kids area, and they would put their hand in the box, and whatever they pulled out, it could be Barbie, it could be a Disney character, it could be just a little toy, and they had to start off once upon a time, whatever it was. And so they were always wanting the flamingo, but there was like 5 items that would light up. And they're like, that's the magical one. I want that one. I'm like, whatever you get, you gotta work with it. So some of the stories I finally had to say, no maiming, no torture, no killing. Let's just stick with, because you're getting a little bit graphic there. Okay, all right, let's try.
Serious stories.
Okay, come on, let's tone it back a little bit. So, but they were having so much fun with it. So we're gonna do it again next year. Hopefully, we have the box and we're gonna add to it every year. And we're already starting to prepare for next year's program. So I'd like to do like a carnival circus theme for next year. And we did Shark Week. The kids really loved this. So we kept decorating because we had all this stuff, because this year's summer reading program was Oceans of Possibilities. So I had all of this decoration that we didn't get to use in the back room. So I said, you know what, let's put it all around the front counter. So we had inflatable dark sharks, 3 different colors, a white, a red, and a blue. And then we printed out pictures and put it on the wall. Then I took that, one of those blue tablecloths, and we put it over the light. And it looks like there's water above us. So the kids are like, oh, that's so cool. They really liked it. So everybody was enjoying it. But a week after I put the Shark Week out, you can see all those empty spaces. They took the books that I had put on display. They're like, can we check these out? I'm like, yes, you can check them out. So I'm having to go look for stuff for next year, because we didn't have certain sharks like lemon sharks and nurse sharks and all these other sharks that we need to get for next year. And then we are still, like I said, still working on the nonfiction sections. The Texas Book Festival grant was completed. And we also, since Medina County Electric, I think it's Medina Electric, we had put in for a grant, but unfortunately they weren't able to fulfill it. So the lady called me and said she'd still like to help us out. So they sent us a check for $250, and I was like, that's wonderful. I said, because I was looking for something to do for story time, because in story time there's not a budget line for it. So I needed to buy different things for story time. So she said, oh, that's perfect. So we received the check right. I just have to let Lynette.
Awesome.
But that's all we've been doing. Any questions?
That's awesome.
Good job.
Thank you, Sandra. Appreciate that. All right. Super Skip. There you go. Code compliance.
Evening. Okay, this past month, I removed local waste items and debris from 27 locations. These are small items. I'm not up there, so you don't have to stick with that.
You're right there. You are somebody.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm
Your
not up
seat.
there.
Your seat, right there.
Oh, thank you. I addressed 4 overgrown lots. Since we haven't had much rain, it's not much growing up there. In fact, the weeds have died. I do have 1 large lot behind Chaparral Ford that I sent the corporation a letter to have it taken care of soon. I haven't gotten a reply from them yet, but I'm trying to get it cut back here. Only problem I have with that is going to catch all of that paper that blows from HEB across and then bring it over here to Main Street, but we'll see what happens. I turned off sprinklers at 20 locations and distributed stage 3 water restrictions to those. I discussed it with some of the residents there. Some of these were vacant houses. Also discussed stage 4 restrictions with the possibility of, put it right here, at those.
So Skip, you said that these were vacant houses and they have water?
I'm kind of getting to that.
Oh.
There's, of those 20, 15 of those were at Saddle Ridge. At the vacant houses that the developers having watering the grass. And the water's running down the road down there. So
This is during the daytime, huh?
it's during the daytime. Yes, in the morning and in the afternoon. I'm not the only one that goes over there turning off the water at these vacant houses. James and his men are also doing that. I don't know how many they've done, but it is a problem over there with that. EAA declared stage 4 watering restrictions August 15th. And I've been, I don't have a handout right now with stage 4 on it. I don't know if you've worked one up yet, Matt.
It's on our website.
Okay. I'll need to get that from the website then. Also, I have a, well, leave that alone. Waste management missed bulky waste removal at 38 residences last month. Yes. I took pictures of all 38 of these. After I submitted these pictures to Waste Management and the office here for them to come back and take care of their business, they did come back and remove 35 of those locations. There's 3 of them out there that Waste Management declared construction debris. I disagreed with them, but I talked to the people that had put out the debris, and at one of them, they're slowly removing some of this debris themselves. I took care of some of it, which was old lumber, 25 years old, that was decaying and falling to pieces. There's no way it was construction. And I took care of it myself, got rid of it for the people. So, I don't know if y'all noticed, behind the pottery shop on Main Street, was an old, large oak tree that was doing damage to the shop there. They cut that down last month and took care of it and doing some refinish work and improvements to their building and offices in there. That's basically it. I did a few other things, but not worth mentioning.
You do a lot of stuff, Steve.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. James, tell us all about Public Works.
Good evening, everyone.
Don't touch it. You're touching it.
Touch some on.
Go, hurry up.
Stop it. Oh,
I'm not doing anything. I'm waiting for you.
Stop it.
Nobody's
Picking on me.
PowerPoint. Can you go to the far
right one.
Yeah.
The presentation.
do the presentation
Not
ones?
you, not you.
Click on this one.
He's touching it again. Okay, I know. You want to do this one?
Yeah, do that one. And it'll hide. There you go. It'll hide the bars and all that.
All right, you're good now.
Ready?
I'm ready.
We're ready?
It looks a little bigger.
Which one I hit?
The
No,
little
that
right
one.
here. That's okay. That's it.
All right.
Okay, this is for the month of July. We installed 4 new meters. We had 1 main break. I think it was on 132 across from coal mine. I think a contractor just took the top of our AC line off. Took a couple of weeks for it to come up. We replaced 1 meter, replaced 2 service lines, and repaired 1 service line leak. We found 4 leaks on the customer side, no sewer or customer stoppages last time. Locates, we did 21 rereads on water and gas, 73 finals, 14 new, 15. Nobody was on the cutoff list, and miscellaneous work orders 17. That's kind of a chart on our work orders.
Oh, the smart meters, I tell you, that'll make a huge difference on the rereads, huh? It's gonna give you a lot of time back.
But I think we had trouble today. We went out with the computer and read them, and we can't get them into the office.
Oh, good.
Now we
I'm
have to
gonna work with
reread
them.
Yeah, it'll be fine
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I'm working with it tomorrow. Final.
Yeah.
That's what we iron out the bugs now,
Yeah.
before we go big, right?
Yeah.
Small scale.
Here's our man hours: water installation 3, water maintenance 240 hours, sewer maintenance 12, sewer plant maintenance 202.5, meter reading 80 hours, and reread 20 hours. locates 21, mowing and shredding 8, running brush 16, and miscellaneous 439.25, for a total of 1,042 hours. Nobody took off last month. And there's kind of a chart on our man hours. And last thing I got is our pumpage for last month. We put well 4 online on July the 11th. And well 2 last month pumped 21.51 acre feet. Well 4 pumped 32.86 acre feet for a total of 54.37 acre feet.
James, do you know where you are for the year by chance?
Yes, sir.
Where we are for the year on acre feet pumped?
I think I got that.
Okay, we'll work, I just gotta get it, I just wanna look at it.
That'll be good. How's it working, James? Tell the council with the wells and everything.
Well, we're still working up a little bugs. We tried to put well 2 on the other day, but we got them coming in different stages. Pump 4 will pump like 5 or 6 feet into the storage tanks, both tanks. Well, we're trying to get well 2 where they only pump like a foot or a foot and a half, because it only pumps 600 gallons a minute compared to 1,600 gallons a minute.
It doesn't stay on as long.
If we ever need 5 or 6 feet of water and people are using a lot, number 2 will never stay on. But we're trying to get them to alternate and trying to set it. But we've had little bugs worked out. And right now we have a chlorine check valve that we need to install. Because on the timer what they did is they time it. Well, let me back up. Well 2 is water lubed. So we have to let water go into the well for about 2 or 3 minutes to lube the bearings. And then it comes on and pumps and it runs for another minute. That turns off the city water. And then we have another delay in the chlorine. So the chlorine pump comes on. We don't want it to come on when there's no water in the line. So we have a delay on it. Well, they set that delay. It just runs a little bit too long, and what it did is it forced water up into our chlorine head. So I got to find a check valve to put in there. And
It's still offset.
that's a little bug we got, but we'll get it worked out.
Well number 4 is doing really well.
Oh, yeah.
It's doing really good.
Any questions?
Thanks, James.
Thank you.
All right. And
Richard,
Richie.
your turn. Sorry.
Well, that's my guy. I got the body cam supposed to be here tomorrow. He just texted me and said they got a shipping issue, so we're gonna have to move it back a day. And I was set for tomorrow, so now I gotta notify everybody for training tomorrow. Just, it's okay. It's just story of my life.
Why do y'all touch?
What?
Just mount them.
Stop touching.
What's gonna happen?
Turn them mount, sorry, I turned it off permanently. As soon as you picked it up, it shut it.
Why'd y'all call me in if this wasn't queued up?
Go for it, Chief. You're good.
Okay, so this is our month again. I emailed this back out August 5th, so this has all been floating around for quite a while. Am I supposed to go page?
Yeah, now you can click it.
Oh, now I can
Now you
click it.
can.
I thought maybe I was going to tell her to. I don't know what you are doing here. Now I don't know how to do it. Okay, 223 service calls. Motor vehicle collisions, 9. I don't know how it's so few. I guess the traffic's so thick, people can't even get going fast enough to run into each other. Alarm calls, again, with all the businesses, commercial we've got here. I mean, only 1 residential alarm call. That's really wild, but that's what it is. Business alarms. Again, 14 for all we've got. That's not very many at all, not an issue. Business checks, building checks. 450 citations. A lot of citations being issued right now, I mean, that comes and goes based on workload, weather. We get a lot of rain, that's gonna drop significantly. Rainy months, a lot of speeding tickets, driver's license. We've always had a lot of that stuff. That's people with suspended license. Registration, C63 with registrations. So anyway, that's a high number, but that's a lot. Again, this is racial profiling. I do this so we can go through there. So at the end of the year, I have it all on there. But rest, not a whole lot this week, not a whole lot this month. Nothing really significant there. Warrants and different things. More warrants. aggravated assault. We had some felony, had some domestic violence this month that we hadn't had in a while. Of course, we had on 7/7. Is that the old one? Where was this? This is August. No, actually. So this is August. So that is July. So that would be correct. Okay, so that is. Yeah, I have to kind of And that's a deal on Ball Road, and we're still working with the Rangers on that. We got a little hiccup. The Rangers, one of them got COVID, and then they got called to something else, so we'll have to restart that. But we've got suspects identified, and probably get some warrants. We've got a lot done on that, so we'll maybe have an update in a week or two on that. Those are a lot of those cases like that, or you move real quick to begin with to identify your suspects, identify what happened, and then you have to kind of back off and start slowly putting the pieces together. So that's basically how those work. It's kind of that show First 48. There's a lot to that. You really got to get all that stuff quick, and then you go back. Diamond S burglaries. I took a couple of Tommy's guitars over there. Vehicle keyed. Debit card abuse. Pretty basic stuff. John Small Engine. They stole a ride a lawnmower. How in the world you'd find something down there that was running, I don't know, because there's a lot of lawnmowers down there. I don't know how you'd pick one and steal. I mean, nothing to put. It's a lawnmower repair shop, so it's like I don't know. We did have a report of a vehicle stolen from John Locke Park, which was kind of odd. Dollar General. Plywood, that was taken from a resident south of town there. Of course, HEB, we always got HEB stuff on there. Lost found property, keys, wallets. We're finding a lot of wallets get turned in, And we actually had one turned in with money in it this time, which is very uncommon. Most times, even good people take the cash. That's probably not true, but most people do take cash. It's kind of weird. Of course, we had the fireworks show in July. That was a big, worked out well. Since we had the supplemental officers from the other agencies, we were able to actually, for the first time, have officers out in the street and actually doing, handling fireworks calls, controlling traffic and things. So it worked out really well. Siren test, some meetings, more meetings, training. I had 2 officers in an active shooting course, another 2 officers in another one-day course. Those were all grant funded. Well, one was a 2-day course, one was a 1-day course. And then we had 3 officers in a 40-hour course that was necessary for them to get their next level of training, and it happened to be in San Antonio, so we were able to get them in that. A lot of training going on. Optimum Wireless, David conducted an inspection there. Small Town Gals, RSF Customs, that's a fishing lure place. Follow up on stripes. And we've had a lot actually this month. Of course, it's already almost the end of the month, but we've had a lot this month, actually quite a bit more. Cases filed with the county, 6 charged, 7 cases with Ascos County, 5 cases filed with the district attorney's office for 6 charges, 2 misdemeanors for 2 people filed over at Medina County Criminal District Attorney's office. Human Resources, where are we at the very end there? Let's see, the last one was through 7/13, 8/10. Yeah, we could have probably put that one on there. I don't know why it's not on there. So this one I was reported last time. But I've taken some holiday. Between now and the first of the year, we've got a lot of officers taking vacation. And that's what's going on with that. Reserve officers, I've got to regroup on this situation here. Do that by October 1. That's kind of where we are right now.
Richie, anything from the fire marshal with the 7/11 stripes of when they might?
Last time we were over there, and you might have been with us, they were talking about September still.
Okay.
But I think they've done a lot, but there's just, it's very hard right now coordinating any large projects from talking to these people because of ability to supply product. These are so specific that main corporations require just this, so you almost can't substitute. Where if it's just you or I building a bit, we could substitute. But that's the problem, so they're having some issues there. We've got to reach back out to them this week, or maybe David did, and I'm possibly will have an update with that.
Good. Yeah, they've been working. It was like 5:30 on Saturday morning, they were pouring concrete.
Yeah. It looks nice. I know we've been in it numerous times. Matt, you weren't, I mean, it's very nice. It's very large. I mean, it's got it's gonna have all this neat stuff, 2 different, food choices in there. It's gonna have, it's just gonna be really nice and big and fancy.
Yeah, so they're supposed to do that, and then HEB is going to do a little bit of renovation in theirs.
HEB will be moving moving their registers to the front, and there'll be that area where the drinks are will be a taco. Can't remember what they call theirs. One of them calls them, I think HEB's maybe called Texas Taco. The others call Laredo Taco. That's what's going to be over at the other place. So you'll be able to finally get some tacos here. So that's something we don't have that. But there will be a fried chicken place. Raising the Roost will be in 7-Eleven, and I think there's only one in Texas right now. I saw it's in Humble.
Yeah.
So it's a East Coast type.
We're going to be the furthest west.
Yeah, it's kind of neat looking. So I don't know. That's where we're going right now with that. We got the 2 new vehicles. Matt told me he was, those were his design on there and everything. So he told me he got the things programmed, the lights and stuff. It's all computerized. He got that programmed, I guess, this week while I was gone. And I'm waiting on the guy he was supposed to come last week to program the radios. As soon as he gets the radios, we're about 99%. We'll have the vehicles on the road, which we need to because our others are starting to, drag a little bit, or they have been.
Council?
Any questions? I'm sorry. Again, I just got dropped off here. I intended to come home in time to take a shower and maybe what have you. But I did take a shower this morning. I don't imply that I didn't do that.
That's a good thing.
So that's. But anyway, any questions you have? I tried. I didn't get my the weekly report is posted to the website. My email will go out in the morning. We did have a busy week with a lot of activity this past week. We had 2 vehicles stolen last evening. One from HEB, one from AAA Barber Shop, which is kind of uncommon. So I've been kind of working. So I got a lot of stuff to report on this week.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Lynette,
I won't be as long-winded as Richie. But this is good, a short detail. This is just kind of the recap without all the details in it. This is in August 15th. That knows what it is. Probably didn't remember. So there's nothing really to report on this. All the funding is going exactly where we thought it would go. Now, we do have a negative balance when you see there at the bottom, and the reason that we have that negative balance is because we went over on capital expenditures on water well 4. So that's expected. We went a little over 200,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're seeing that in there. But otherwise, everything is pretty much on schedule where it needs to be. Have any questions about that? So a lot of the budget stuff, like y'all kind of saw the numbers, what we've been working on. A lot of those have prior numbers in them too. One thing Matt and I have been working on, I've been working on this every weekend for the last 3 weeks, is our S&P rating for our bond. So our bond rating was very low, and Andrew needed to go to have a review of the bond now that we have a lot more financial strategies put in place. So our bond rating went up 3 points, and we're now at a AA minus, where we were in the B's. I'm going to give you this, and I'll explain more. So we worked through S&P. So when you look at the middle column there, and then when you look at the bond review, it'll tell you all the reasons we went up and why we couldn't even go up a little bit higher. But overall, our credit viability went up substantially because we have financial strategies, standards put into place where they can actually ask questions. They get complete breakdowns. I have, like I said, the last 3 weekends, I thought I was doing essays back in college again, having to really give them this information that they needed to do this. We could have went higher. I will say this, and I wish I would have had more time. If I would have had a 5-year plan, I probably could have got us in a higher bracket rating. But
So Lynette, you actually took us from a B to an A,
yes,
and
yes.
that's
Well, a double A minus. So,
still be able to get us to where we're at right now. That's a huge
yes,
thing.
yes, yeah, much better. So, for the bond, that will really help with the interest rate and all that too, because that puts us in a really secure position, and that was the whole goal.
And do we expect any changes in the rating between now and the closing?
You know, this just makes it look better. It makes the bidders a little bit more happy. But to be honest, we're not going to know till the day of that call, because as you know, the market is volatile right now. So I don't want to give a number. I don't even want to give you a thought on that until it happens.
But are we able to still make changes and give them updates and inputs up to that point?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah. When did we see Katie? 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago? in
Yeah,
our
it was
last
like 2 weeks ago.
call.
And then they had to go through all their
Okay.
research and stuff, because it was all the reports that I did to them, and then they did their own research on the
So
company
it's
as
all
well.
our hands.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
But drastic changes, and you can only see the next time that we start looking at it, whether it be 6 months or a year from now, start looking at our bond rating.
Mhm.
We're definitely going to be in a lot better position.
And we have a plan. You know, if you go and you read, once you read this, you'll see there's a definite upgrade plan in place. It's just I need more time. I wish there was like 2 of me, but we'll get it there. Much better. Finance-wise, I just wanted to do some highlights for you real quick. Ashley, you know that we hired Ashley in the court over at, I'm sorry, I'm very tired, over at, court. And he, our fines have went up $20,000, all over budget already. So by hiring her in there, and by also having more dockets, cases on the docket, we've been able to collect more money. So we're like 23,000 over, so I'm real happy with that. Matt has pushed for, you want to talk about that?
So we met with our Purdue, the company that collects our fines for us, the attorney firm who sends out those letters. Hey, you have a fine, you have warrants, come pay them, or else kind of thing. And talking with them, we got a little behind. So we're still working off of information from 2021. They haven't even started on 2022 stuff yet. So we're gonna actively get out and start seeking people who have active warrants in our city for unpaid traffic fines. We discovered there's about 2.7 million owed to this city in traffic fines alone. Now that's over a multitude of years, I'll tell you, not over just 1 or 2 years. So that's a number we need to bring down. We need to get out and find these people and get them into our court and make arrangements. I've worked with the police, the chief and Purdue. They're going to allow us to use their skip tracing, so we can cut down a lot of police time on running people. We can start skip tracing if they're even local anymore, what we need to do. And we'll start getting the 2022 stuff now that we got the manpower in the court. Get that caught up and having more court dates. It's just something we've needed to do. It took us a little nudging to get some people there, but we're there. They all understand it. We're all team players, and we'll see some increases there.
And we start double court dates next month.
Yes, every Thursday.
We're going to be
We'll have a
doing
court
double
date.
to really try to get those tickets in. Another thing, talking to Diana today and talking to Ashley, they kind of went out of their way to help people and started doing, Diana thought a lot of the money that was coming back in was due to being able to work with them on payment plans or whatever we need to make sure that we get those funds in. And working with Austin, I don't know if y'all have met him, but he's from the attorney firm. He's wonderful with them, giving them options and helping them, have an option to understand that, that we're not here to hurt them, we're here to help them. So, that. So our fines have went up. We already talked about Paula. We are 98% collected on ad valorem for the year. That's the highest it's been in the last 5 years that I've seen. 98.6 to be exact. She has really busted her butt in getting into true automation and getting all those. She had how many updates? She had to do tons and tons of updates and get it correct. And of course, you have to remember too, she wasn't trained on that system. She's done this all from scratch.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks, Paul.
Yes. One thing that you're going to see at the end of the year that I do want to bring up to y'all is the consulting and engineering. We're over budget on that a lot. When we had set up the system, there wasn't a rebill for that. Like Matt was talking about earlier, that TRC comes in and does something, we rebill to the contractor. We found out that how much of that wasn't happening.
We're not 100% sure. But we were releasing, I'm not going to say we did it. We just can't find the money trail where before we released the plat back to that company to go record it, that we collected what we paid out to engineering for the review of it, for the plating. That's supposed to be a wash to us. It will be moving forward. I'm not saying it was. It was kind of hard to find where that money was coming back in.
And I'm reconciling that right now. So I'm going to try to fix that as much as I can. But we will probably see a little bit of deficit in there, and there's nothing I can do about that. Because we didn't catch that till after the fact. Otherwise, everything is right on where it needs to be, except for the overage, like I said, in the capital projects. But again, we're going to capitalize that. That's going to bring up our net position, and so I'm not real concerned about that at all. So do you have any questions about the rating, the bond, any financial matters at all? Michael, come on, you always have financial questions for me. Come on, really? Okay.
So, no, thank you so much. Appreciate all your efforts. This is one area that is kind of tied into everything that we do. And, the whole staff has jumped in there, but
Absolutely.
we've actually been part of that and just putting the whole thing together, so we appreciate all your
I
efforts.
started, I guess it was burning out last week, and I kind of went and threw it on Matt's desk and said, I'm done. You finish it. I know I did. So, but he's got a quick education in basic accounting.
We're on the right track because of your efforts. So that's good. This and the audit, it's just getting everything caught
Oh,
up.
and the audit does start in December, guys. So we're going to go through close of the year, we'll get the audit done, we'll have new audit reports, and make sure that's up to date for Michael. We have met tonight.
It should be a lot quicker too.
We scheduled 4 days.
Yeah. So we'll get her done. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Oh, don't touch it.
Are you touching it? Are you really touching it?
Hey, can't you turn off the?
Yeah, I got to figure out how to turn it off permanently.
Yeah, you just turn off the mouse.
It's rolling. It's rolling. Okay. Okay, there you go.
Oh, that won't work as PDF. Did you give her a PDF or? Oh.
Motion? Yeah.
It came in as a PDF. On this?
What is it?
This one you scroll.
You can scroll from the phone.
I got it. There you go. Perfect. I got it.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
For July, we had 15 permits, 2 additions, 1 remodel, 5 storage sheds, 3 slabs, 2 carports, 1 fence, and a sprinkler system. Total inspections for building was 40, for a plans review, 17 with the framing, electrical, and AC work. Drive-in walkways were 4, pre-pour were 6, final were 4, and a full project without a permit, 1. They were adding something at the house, they were going to sell the house, and they called saying that they needed to finalize that so they can sell the house. Plumbing inspections 30, 4 plans review, 3 rough-in, 21 top-outs, and 2 finals. Taxes, all taxes entered, all daily and monthly finally closed, and working on entering the supplements and billings.
So Paula, before you go there,
Yes.
can you please inform the council of what is required to do on their taxes in a sense to close out? Because I want them to understand, you got us caught up, but I want them to understand what you had to do or what needed to be done in the system.
So from the beginning, when they come and they pay for their taxes, I have to enter just the payment on the tax computer. I just, then you have to daily close what you've entered in there and monthly close everything you've entered for the whole month. They have to balance everything. If I do a daily sheet, it has to balance with what I did. And all that has to balance with my monthly. And at the end, it has to balance with my year. So.
How far back did you start?
Last year's October, but there's quite a few of them that were from the year before that were not closed from February 2020.
She started from February 2020. So imagine having to go back and do the daily, do the monthly, do the annual. Everything had a balance in there. Huge.
So we couldn't close.
Huge.
We couldn't close the ones that was supposed to close because everything in 2020 was still.
That was the main issue. We had at the audit too, to jump in and say, you know, we had big variances in there, and it was something that Debbie was very concerned about, that she had pulled me aside and said, we can't have this. So, once Paul and I had full reign to fix this, we figured out what the problems were, or I could on the GL. She got the true automation, figured it out, and now we're just driving by.
So it's huge.
No, that doesn't mean we want to keep taxes here.
No.
That's not what I'm saying.
No. Takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
But just we really appreciate your efforts with all that.
Thank you. Just the other subject, just new building clerk, well, she actually started already. So received a letter from Ms. Grotius that she will resign her position from the local commission. And I just wanted to let you know when you said that TDLR, I have the, I went online, I checked, and I'm actually in this, or I'm collecting the taxes. For taxes.
So Paula is listed on TDLR as a tax collector in the city. So you have to legally have that to collect taxes. We have that.
Nice. Awesome.
That's it.
Good. So are we gonna need to come back and find a replacement?
Yes, for Ms. Grotius, yes. I
So
talked
next
to.
agenda or something?
Yes.
Yes, I'll have it. She can put it on the next agenda.
Okay. That'll be good.
We'll have to figure out who gets to appoint her. I don't know what, she's been on there for quite a while, I think.
I talked to Ms. Donna Hendricks. She's the chairman, so she's gonna
Perfect.
deal with you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great job, Paul. All right. Here you go, Matt.
Yes. Just read your top one above the blue. I think so. No, that's budget.
Hold on.
Oh. Technical difficulty.
What is this?
All right.
Oh, it's time for me to go home.
Search your documents.
Where's the?
Just search it from the top. Type in documents. Go to your folder.
Mayor, I can attest that Matt and Lynette work a lot because both of them called me this last weekend on budget stuff. They're constantly, I mean, they're on top of it. I got it,
Well, one of the things also, Council, that
doing a lot.
that is going to be really neat is whenever they get together, they'll be presenting them updates to them of their budget. So it's going to be on a monthly basis. So they kind of have an idea of where they stand. So it's going to be really good for them to kind of get an assessment.
I was gonna do that in the department head meetings too, as well, where they get pronounced all that. So they can, you know, to
It
be
gives them
able
a
to-
chance on a monthly
yeah.
basis now to be able to go with that.
We'll breeze through this one pretty quick, so we're not here. I'll stand between you and going home.
Bless you.
Open plats is we still have the LD Cromer, which is the building right here across from the church. They're still open. Lytle Farms Unit 1, Saddle Ridge is phases 2 and 5. Although I think I got something back on that today, so that one may be good to go. Open annexation items. So we discovered that the Lytle Travel Center down at 35 and FM 3175 that has all their permitting to start construction, that they have a back portion of their property that the annexation was never completed here in the city. So ourselves and legal are working through that, and we'll get them annexed in. RFPs and RFQs. So we've got the RFQs issued for done for Lakeshore Estates drainage master plan, and then the RFQ for a stormwater utility. They were reviewed by our engineer to ensure that they read correctly, to make sure that another engineer could read and understand what we're doing. And then legal has them for review. It was requested that we send it to legal by our attorney. Say, hey, you should probably have legal review these as well, just to make sure you're legal. So it's being reviewed. We'll hope to get those back and issued pretty soon. Budget. So we can kind of correct some of this stuff. We're going to move kind of quick this month because of the timeline we got to be on. So tax rates, we were able to do that tonight because we got those in. So that comes off the board. We'll get that published in the paper. They go out this Thursday. You have to wait at least 5 days before you can have a hearing for the adoption of the proposed tax rate. So I'll talk with the mayor about calling some more meetings, but this is the schedule I'm kind of looking at, and I think legal says it works. So we probably need to have a meeting September 5th. It's a Monday. I've tried to keep all these on Mondays. No, not September 5th. That's a holiday, so I've already done that once. We'll figure that one out with the mayor, but a quick meeting to adopt the tax rate. And then we need to have a budget hearing within 10 to 15 days of us presenting it tonight. And then we can officially adopt our budget, then adopt our tax rate September 26th. So we'll be ready to go October 1. You got to adopt the budget before the tax rate. So we'll work with y'all, and I'll work with the mayor on getting these meetings called to ensure we're getting stuff done when we need to. No big changes here. They're still moving along. The Saddle Ridge, tomorrow I'll send out a couple photos that they sent me where they've done a lot of the land clearing, and you can see the new roads and the new phases going in the back. It's kind of neat. You can look at all the roads and really see that development coming together and what it's going to look like. Open projects, we've got the new employee handbook we're working on. That'll be myself, Alderman Emery, and the chief. We just need to sit down and work on it. The street light at 15516 Main Street. Our point of contact with CPS Energy's been out. They've had some personal matters going on, but she answered me today, so I'll read this. The following is the information we shared that was shared with them by the streetlight department. Lighting expectations in regards to distance from the roadway is approximately 30 feet. She said, please note that the light will not be near the roadway because of where it sets over there. The street light will mainly be illuminating the easement along the roadway and partially the road due to the road edge of the pavement being so far away. Therefore, this street light will be more of an all-night security light for a resident, not necessarily a street light illuminating the street. If the council desires that they want to illuminate the street, then we need to work with TxDOT and get TxDOT to develop a lighting plan and installation of new overhead federal signals and a bunch of work. So typically when we get a street light, we get a street light to illuminate the road because they say the road in that area is dark. Because of where this pole has to set and how it is over there, it's actually off the road quite a ways, so it's going to be more of a personal security light. So I guess we'll have to discuss that and see how council wants to move forward on that one. Open drainage items. We have the Adams Street, which we talked about earlier. Hopefully we can do some CDBG money and maybe get that project rolling. And then Lakeshore Estates, we hope to answer that when we issue the RFQs. Like I told the gentleman earlier when he talked to me, that's unfortunately not going to be a quick ticket item. That's something that we'll budget and hopefully get some engineering done and then figure out how we budget that in the years to come to fix all that, because I wouldn't anticipate that being a low ticket item. Pretty big ticket. Something that the mayor wanted me to do, and we haven't ever seen these before, city contracts. So we have a waste management contract. We're working currently with a 1-year extension. CPS Energy, the gas O&M contract, again, working on a 1-year extension. Both of those are extremely close. I think we'll have the O&M probably on the next agenda. We've talked to them. I think that one's going to be easy. Waste Management, we were supposed to already meet with him, but because of a personal issue, he couldn't make it. But we're working on changing Waste Management and letting them maybe take over our commercial billing instead of us doing it in here, letting them handle commercial billing and us add a franchise fee to that. And then the complaint line. So we field a lot of calls from residents that come into Virginia, and it's, hey, they forgot my trash, hey, they didn't pick up this, stuff like that. Then she has to forward that on to Waste Management. And if you know anything like I do, when you're trying to transfer messages, stuff gets lost in the mix, or people just don't believe what's going on. Waste Management has a system where when you call them, all their phone lines are recorded and everything's documented. So if we were to allow them to take over that complaint line for us, monthly we could get a report back saying this is who complained, this is what they complained about, here's how we addressed it. And if the resident comes and says it's not what happened, we can then request the audio of all those phone conversations and listen to them to ensure. So I was kind of concerned about that initially. I don't like giving something away when we need to have control and make sure our residents are getting what they want. But for us to be able to get a report monthly and look at that and ensure it's being taken care of, really, when you have a complaint, we need to send that to the direct people and let them address it. And they're trained to do that. I'll wait for a copy of that report. Your fire department, they expire on 9/30/22, so we'll be issuing a new contract with them. In the budget, we're able to work out an increase of $1,000 a month to the fire department to keep that moving forward. Frontera, our IT provider, they expire on 9/30/22. However, they've got an auto-renew clause in their contract that says if we don't do something with a 60-day notice, that it auto-renews. So that one's auto-renewed. We probably weren't going to do anything with that anyway, so that's good to go. Brush collection expires 9/30/22. We'll request to authorize to rebid it at the 9/12 meeting. Emergency management plan expires. We're supposed to have that done by 11/23/22. Mayor, you're supposed to follow up with her and just see where we are on that.
Yep.
Tax collection, nothing really to report there, but that's anticipating we send it off. Delinquent tax collection, again, it expires starting January 2023, so in December we need to figure out, December-ish time frame, figure out what we want to do. AT&T contract expires November of 23, so we still got some time with that. I will tell you, we've got a phone line here in the city that's still on the old POTS line. They wanted to upgrade to fiber, and they were willing to upgrade the line that our tax system's on, upgrade it to fiber, 100% at their cost, no cost to the city, and actually reduce our monthly plan from $90 to $62, just to get that old DSL line and get fiber in. I told them we're going to cancel it February 23. I don't want to extend the contract. They said, good, we don't care. We have to put the line in. So I'm assuming they probably got some money from somebody. Little League, they expire 8/31/23, and then the city yard maintenance expires January 23. So again, probably November timeframe meeting, we'll come in and ask to rebid those. Miscellaneous updates, radio read meter training we did. Attended the four progress meetings, just a lot of the meetings and stuff that I attend throughout the month. There's those. Started kind of dabbling into a little bit of the NFIP, the flood stuff to understand. So I found that we passed by ordinance. If you build in the floodplain, we send all that to our engineers. I didn't know that. I found that in our ordinance somehow. I'm looking for another one. So we send all that to the engineers to make sure that those guys are looking at it and we're being built correctly. But I also want to understand more about the floodplain and why we do certain things. GLO was some grant things they're doing there, and then the Back to Basics talked really about building in the floodplain. Street paving was completed. I don't know if you've been down any of those roads, but they look nice and they drive pretty good. Working on the community center rental rates. We hope to have that at the next council meeting. I'm going to send the actual legal contract to legal and look at it and some stuff that we talked about and get a new draft of that. I think we've got the fee structure worked out, and that works. We just need to get the legal side on the contract that you signed as a renter. And that's it. Any questions for me?
Appreciate it, and thank you for, in council, the contracts. We're doing it as a way to stay on top of it, so we can catch them early on. So appreciate having it.
Your revised budget that you presented today, can you read something?
Yes, I'm going to send it out in the morning to everybody, along with the pictures. Yes, sir.
All right. We're in the informational items now. Anything anybody wants to share as part of the informational items? Nothing? Okay. Is Charles still on there?
No,
No,
I don't see.
he took that in. to see them.
Oh, you jumped out? Okay. We
No,
need.
I've been here.
Oh, it's like video off, okay.
Well, you're
All
Kennedy.
right, Charles. Hey, first of all, hey, thanks for what you're doing out there, making a difference, especially on that side of the world. So we appreciate that. Is there anything that you need?
We're good out here, Mayor.
You good? Hey, when you get a chance, send us your address, your mailing address, okay?
All right, I'll send that to Paula.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But let us know if anything pops up that we can do for you. But thank you for joining us this evening. All right, so let me go ahead and pass on some additional information. We got early registration for TML. It expires on the 25th. We got 3 days left. So if you're thinking about attending the 5th through the 7th of October, it's going to be here in San Antonio. This is for the department heads and for the council. Please get with Matt. We need to make sure that we get the registration in there, okay? We do get a discount if we respond by the 25th of August, so please do that. Once again, special thanks to James and Reese and Matt for all the work on the well. We're there. You know, it's great. I see James is able to get a little bit of better sleep now because he doesn't need to turn on and turn off. At least you know that well 4 is actually cycling through and taking care of a well without having to worry about it. So I know he's feeling a little bit better about all that. TxDOT frontage road, we got an indication that maybe this is on the side of the Bill Miller, that possibly mid-September time frame they might be going to a one-way southbound. So pass that word around. They did let us know if they get ahead based on weather and other conditions on the northbound. They start early, they'll let us know, we'll let you know. But for right now, plan on the mid-September time frame where we're going to have now both sides on one way with one lane. Okay, so it's going to get a little bit busier in that area. We have a meeting tomorrow with TxDOT on the project that is going to be in front of our city hall here too. So we should be getting a little bit more information. So we got a few projects around this area that's going to be going on. I'd like to go ahead and thank PD, Richie, every officer. Matt has jumped in on board. Unfortunately, here in the last week, I would say 2 weeks, we've had more incidents with illegal, undocumented folks in our area, whether it's vehicle accidents or they pull over and they take off. And it's been mostly around the 35 area that is happening, I-35 over on that side of 35. But it's involved our folks getting a little bit busier. Richie has been out, so we're going to get together, the team, and we're going to have a little discussion. We're going to talk about this and see if there's anything that we need to bring to the council on that. Special thanks to Animal Care and Control staff getting all the pets to other homes. Really appreciate what you've been doing. I know you guys have been working really hard on doing that, so we appreciate all the efforts for taking care of that. Appreciate city staff for all the cleanup, both physical, and I mean that cleanup, both physical, records, programs. We're in a lot better place than we were a couple of months. Special thanks to Lynette, Paula with all the work, and Matt with finances. You guys, just heavy hitters, a lot of stuff working in all cylinders, trying to take care of that. And then special thanks, I gotta say, to Lynette. I tell you, from the financial side, having a bond rating go up and be able to make a difference, especially when we're looking at a 8.5 million debt, a certificate of obligations, that's going to save us a huge amount of money and make our city stand out. And I know we're even going to get a higher rating as we go through that. Special thanks to Matt and Public Works for all the street improvements. There's been a few tweaks, a few areas that you guys had identified, so I really appreciate it. If you have any of these roads, you get some feedback, please get it back to us. I've noticed a few places that maybe have a little indentation or something. We can still work with a contractor. Just let them know, okay, that we might have. I also want to publicly thank Medina County Commissioner Sitter for County Road 681. They came out here and they took care of that whole road. It's not asphalt, it's a rock with layer on it, but it's night and day compared to what was there. I've gotten a lot of positive comments from residents that are there all the way to the very back. That road hadn't been touched for like 30 years. So a huge improvement for that area, but the county came through. I think our cost was, what ended up being 83? 82. Yeah, all we had to do was just pay for the oil. They covered everything else.
The city did pave it, a certain section, though. We didn't go all the way through about 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah,
There was a payment where there was some work that was done in that area to fix up, but when you go out to the creek, which is where the
Well-
most damage was,
yeah, because I put it on the agenda, and it got paved all the way to the end of, for the city, line. That was before
We
you
can have
got, before you got on the council.
Yeah, that was done by, was paid from the creek back to 2790.
yeah.
The city limits portion.
Yes.
But that county portion's been terrible.
Yeah,
since
no,
I was in
that
high
section
school.
wasn't in the city, so but we paved from the city line back to 2790.
Yeah, but from the creek that way
Yeah,
hasn't
no,
been touched.
no.
Yeah, so we needed to make a difference in all that area, without a doubt. Still folks that are coming in and out, and it affects, especially with the school going through there. Special thanks to Wayne for his assistance with recycling. Please pass on a lot of positive comments on that. We got October, we got cleanup coming up, right?
Yes.
So right around the corner for us to be able to do that. Matt, thank you for helping out. The community to know we actually have WIC that has been operating here in Lytle. We actually have accepted trying to help them out. Medina County has picked up taking care of Atascosa. So we've been able to use some of our facilities to help them out, be able to use that. So that's worked out really good for them. Please keep an eye out on rain amounts and possible flooding in certain areas. Here within the next week, we just have to monitor, expectation between 3 to 5 certain areas. So let's go ahead and make sure that we take care of of those roads that typically get a little bit of the flooding issues. Continuing prayers for Wayne Pearl. Just an update, he's still about the same, some movement on his right hand and his right foot. Very strong on his left side of his body, but he still has limitations. So please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He continues to recover. I will tell you, I have talked to him, and it's great. Whenever he wants to say something, it will come out. Because when there's emotion and it comes out and it sounds very clear, it's really good. It's just normal conversation that he's still having a little bit of a challenge with.
Is he at home or is he?
He's with his daughter. Yes, sir. Also, please pay close attention right now with our school district, volleyball, cross-country, band, football. Everything is in full throttle. Please look at the schedules, and if you have a chance, please go out there and support our students, both our athletes and our UIO. We have different ways that folks kind of put the puzzle together over at the ISD. But definitely go out and support our Pirates. I think it's going to be a good season, and if you didn't look the schedule that we have for football, we're in a whole different division. We have different towns that we're playing this year than we've ever played before. So it's good to kind of stay on top of that, but go out there and support them. Is there any last minute things come to mind? Okay. If you don't have any of that, it is 9:36. Can I go ahead and get a motion for us to go ahead and close out our meeting?
Moves that we adjourn for the evening there?
Okay, got a motion for us to go ahead and close out? Got a second? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you so much, appreciate it. Have a great evening.
You're a letter.
Okay.
Okay, that's right, I'm just a letter.